last week. And, well, now we transition to this week as we're chatting with Steve Ryan, head football coach at Morningside University. The Hastings College Broncos on tap today at Elwood Olson Stadium for homecoming. They're coming off a victory against Briar Cliff. The Broncos, an outstanding season at 5-1. Coach, first of all, offensively, what are the things that, just kind of jump out to you when you watch the Broncos on film?
Well, in terms of them on offense, I think they have a very clear plan. I think they execute that plan. They're going to come into this game. They're going to probably have seen things that, on defense that they feel that they can exploit, and they're going to have a good plan with that. They've got some explosive receivers that we got to keep our eyes on and not let them get behind us.
What do you think that clear plan is going to consist of as far as they're concerned? What do you expect to see from them?
I expect them to try to take some deep shots to those really good receivers and come up with different ways to make sure they can protect their quarterback to get that ball off.
Yeah, those explosive receivers you talk about, and they've got some size to them, and like you said, big play ability. You talk about, I guess this goes back to what we talked about with the safety position and getting beat deep. What's the key to making sure you can keep everybody in front of you and those big plays don't become a factor today?
Well, some of it goes back to, what kids learn their first year of playing football is don't let anybody behind you, and those guys keeping an eye on things, not allowing guys to get behind them, not biting on, what we would say a receiver's first move and keeping everything up in front of them.
Another thing I noticed, too, is John Zamora at the quarterback position. It seems like he's running the ball a little bit more, maybe showing off some athleticism. How is his impact on the game? When he's possessing the football, what is it that he does that you've got to be prepared for?
Well, first, I'd say this about John. I think he's taken a significant step this past year just as a quarterback and just has really improved and is running the offense exceptionally well. They just do a lot of quarterback run RPO, and so I think a lot of it has to do with designed runs that are put in place for him, and we've got to be in tune to that. And so when you have quarterback run RPO, he's either going to throw it or he's going to run it himself. And I think he's making good decisions with the football.
Well, and it's definitely shown on the stat sheet for them. Again, they're putting up some great numbers. They do have a couple of running backs back there and a Brett Simonson as well. But I guess when they're running RPO, it's more, like you said, a quarterback run and pass play. So what's the assignment like, or what do those assignments have to consist of so that you guys are keeping everybody in check and making sure they don't trick you on any one of those kind of plays?
Well, you gotta trust your coaching. You gotta trust your coaches. You gotta trust your teammates. You gotta trust your training, and you gotta trust your eyes. I mean, you have to trust the things that you did throughout the week to prepare you for this moment, where you're in the game. And guys get in trouble when they doubt, when they question, when they lose certainty on their teammates. So for us to be successful, our guys got to go out there and do the things they've been coached to do and trust what they're doing, because when you play an RPO team, you're either assigned to the pass or to the run, and once you read that it's going the other way, then you go there. It's when you make bad decisions you get in trouble.
We're chatting with Steve Ryan. He's the head football coach at Morningside University. That's a bit about the Bronco offense. How about the defense here, Coach? This is a defense that's put up some strong games. They've been able to hold some opponents down to low scores. What do you have to be prepared for when it comes to the Hastings defense?
Yeah, I think they do two things really well. Number one, they get pressure on the quarterback, and number two, they create turnovers. They've got a lot of interceptions on the year. Typically, those two things can go hand in hand. If you can put pressure on the quarterback, you can force the quarterback to make bad throws. So we've got to be able to protect Joe and make him feel comfortable in the game, and hopefully Joe can take care of the ball well.
The depth chart we got suggests a three front on that defensive line, but if they're getting good pressure, I would have to imagine you'll see some outside rush from maybe the linebackers as well. That always throws a wrinkle into things. What do those tackles and maybe a Sione Tuafua if he's staying in the pass protection, what do they have to do to make sure they read that blitz well and keep them from getting in the backfield?
Yeah, so it is a 3-4 defense, and they do bring their outside linebackers and their inside linebackers as well. So typically they're gonna rush three, and they're gonna have different types of games that they're gonna play where a different linebacker comes from somewhere else, or maybe they bring two. And it's so important for all the linemen to work together in those types of situations. You have a pass protection called, and once that ball is snapped, they all have to execute that in unison, so they make sure they pick up guys. Guys coming free, guys coming unblocked, so often in small college is what gets small college lines in trouble.
Absolutely, and the one thing we know is that you guys pick them up so well and give Joe plenty of time. But, of course, then you talk about that secondary, too, and I see a Kobe Brandenburg, that number 7 safety, or Pates in the corner spot. They're combined for 7 interceptions this year. How do they, cover receivers that allows them to just seem to be in the way all the time?
I think they play the ball well in the air, and they can catch the ball. So, those two things allow them to get some interceptions. So often you get pressure on the quarterback, and maybe the quarterback doesn't throw quite as good of a ball, and those guys are in the right spot. They're in the spot they're supposed to be, and when that ball's in the air, they just go make a play on it.
Steve Ryan's the head coach of Morningside Football. One final thing about the defense, Coach. I noticed they've only allowed 83 yards on the ground per game through their first 6 contests. Of course, that can go back to what you talk about with the pressure that they get on quarterbacks. I'm sure that can relate well to the running game. But for you guys, I know running, especially in the first half last week, was a struggle. If you guys are going to be successful running the football today, what will be the reason behind it? What are the things you guys have to do to get the ground game going today?
Yeah, I mean, our offensive line just has to be able to see the line games that they're playing and being able to pick up guys, and not allow the guys to run free, and that's going to have to be a big part of things. Ryan's going to have to get a feel for the game maybe a little bit quicker than he has the last couple of weeks, just in terms of where the holes are and how to hit them.
Final thing for you here, Coach. I noticed last week was such a game about field position, and there were some good punts when you had the wind, and some good bad punts against the wind, and both sides would say the same. I noticed they've got some really outstanding return men. How much does your kick coverage game play into that field position battle, and why, or what's the reason behind why you guys have been seemingly so successful when it comes to covering kick and punt returns this year?
Yeah, I think a couple things. One, a couple things that have helped us is our kickers and punters have been able to put the ball where we ask them to put the ball, and sometimes when your kickers and punters can't do that effectively, that can create issues. Also, I think Chase and Ben have just kicked the ball out of the end zone multiple times. But it's speed. I think we've got some very good guys. They take it serious. We've got some good speed on our coverage team, and they're able to get down there and just kind of make plays. So I think a big part of special team is that your guys take it seriously. They see the value that they have in the game, and we scored 30 points in the third quarter. 3 significant plays were a part of that. We blocked a punt, ran in for a touchdown. We returned a punt back to, I think, the 15-yard line. And then we had that kickoff coverage where we tackled the guy inside the 5. And all 3 of those plays had a significant role in the game.
And it's also, strong for you guys when it comes to, most teams probably you stick a guy on special teams, he's going to be really disappointed in that and not going to appreciate his role. But you've got guys that that really embrace it.
We do, and I think we spend a lot of time just talking about that value on special teams, how important they are, and our guys buy into it, and they're a big part of it. A lot of our starters are on special teams. I think we've got 2 outstanding returners, and Caleb Schweigert and Michael Payne, which help things too. And sometimes when you got guys behind that take things serious, that helps as well.
Well, it definitely helps, and we hope it helps today, Coach. We appreciate your time as always, and best of luck to you guys today.
All right, thanks, Daniel.
Absolutely. That was Steve Ryan, head football coach of Morningside University, on our Drilling Pharmacy pregame report as the Mustangs get set to take on the 5-1 Broncos of Hastings College here at Owen Olson Stadium today. Kickoff is just minutes away, and we'll bring that to you when we return. You're listening to Mustang Football on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. And we welcome you back inside our Drilling Pharmacy pregame report as Morningside gets set to take on Hastings College for Homecoming 2022. Alongside Bob Goodvin up in the booth, I'm Daniel Versteg. Stephen Cutler's down on the sideline with us. He joins us on our Drilling Pharmacy pregame report following the coin toss. And Stephen, boy, it's a gorgeous day for football. The stands are packed. What's kind of the feeling like down there?
It really is a gorgeous day, Daniel, and an outstanding crowd as expected on homecoming today. Filled up about the middle 5 sections, and there's still folks filing in from the tailgates right now. Seeing about 60 degrees outside today and a west to east wind going about 11 miles per hour down here on the field.
Yeah, and it's a gorgeous day. We'll see if that wind ends up playing a bit of a factor. Flag's not blowing a whole lot, but you never know what could end up happening throughout the day. Morningside won the toss, and they elected to defer their choice to the second half, so they're going to be kicking things off to start this contest. Hastings offense, that explosive offense that Coach Ryan was talking about on our Drilling Pharmacy pregame report, well, they will be taking the field first. Ben Steffens has this ball teed up at his own 35-yard line, kicking from right to left as we view it from the Irving and Carolyn Jensen press box high above Elwood Olson Stadium. Homecoming 2022 is kicked off. This is a knuckling line drive kick, bounce at the 25, field at the 16-yard line, and the Broncos take it out at the left seam to the 25. On the return is Antoine Murphy, the freshman, and Hastings will have 1st and 10 spotted at their own 29-yard line.
I think one of the things we want to watch early on is how are they going to defend number 81. They're good receiver Tubbs or big receiver Tubbs, and I think what you will see is that Morningside will put their best corner, which is Walls, number 4, on him, and that's what you see right here.
Yeah, Torian Tubbs, number 81, the top receiver. John Zamora starts off with an empty backfield and 5 receivers set. Drops to throw. Mustangs rush 4. He passes over the middle, and it's caught by Jay-Sean Wright up the left. Numbers 40, 45, 50. Deep into Morningside territory, and Jay-Sean Wright turns on the afterburners. He stepped out of bounds at midfield, so they'll take a few yards off of what we thought initially. But right away, the Broncos move the chains with a 21-yard gain and have 1st and 10.
I think you got to come up with a nickname for those duo receivers because number 11 is small but fast.
Yeah, boy, 5'6", $132. But, yeah, he's got a lot of quickness. 1st and 10 from midfield for the Broncos. Handoff up the middle. It's Brett Simonson trying to bounce around the left side, and he gets into Mustang territory, the 48-yard line. It's a quick pickup of 2 yards, and it'll be 2nd down and 8. Morningside comes into the ball game with a record of 4-0 overall and 4-0 in Great Plains Athletic Conference action. The Broncos are having an outstanding season as well under second year to them head coach Matt Franzen. He spent 11 years at Doane University calling their football team. Here's 2nd and 8 for the Broncos from the Mustang 48. Zamora drops back to throw, stands tall in the pocket, lobs it deep left sideline and overthrows his target, Jay-Sean Wright, and incomplete. It was Isaac Pingle who was on the coverage with him, as well as Lonell Boyd. The incompletion brings up 3rd and 8.
And what you saw right there is how you defend a small but fast receiver, and that's just be physical with him. And they were making contact with him all the way down the field, which was at the time perfectly legal. And just reroute him, redirect him, and he's going to have a hard time getting off that kind of pressure because he just isn't big enough.
Well, the Mustang fans that have made the trip out for homecoming have 3rd down and 8, and they're trying to get noisy behind their defense. Broncos line up 2 on either side. Zamora, 3-step drop out of the gun, pass over the middle. It's caught by Wright, but he's behind the line of scrimmage. And Josh Miller brings him down back at the Bronco 49-yard line. It's a loss of 3, and after a great first play of the drive, the Broncos are forced to punt it.
Well, that's the same scheme they ran on the first play of the game. They tried to bring Wright across the middle, across the formation on a shallow cross and utilize his speed. But that time the linebackers stayed behind him and were able to keep him inside the boxes.
And so 4th and 11, the punting unit out for Jason Bockel. An all-conference punter and kicker sends a high right-footed spiraling kick, and Michael Payne fields this one on a fair catch inside his own 20. They'll spot at the 18. So the Mustang offense will have 1st and 10, and we'll see if the field position ends up bothering the Mustangs, Bob, starting inside their own 20. Never an easy task for any offense, really.
No, every time you start inside your own 20-yard line, your chances of scoring they diminish greatly. But we're not talking about the average offense here when we talk about Morningside.
This is true. 13-13 to go in the first quarter. Hastings punts it away on their first drive. And now Morningside with 4 receivers, 2 on either side. Dolinchek takes a deep drop out of the gun. He passes over the middle to a wide-open Austin Johnson to the 40-yard line. Drags a defender up the left hash. And he's across the 45, down to the 46-yard line. Morningside picks up 28 yards in their first play from scrimmage. It's 1st and 10.
Well, I think what you saw in the first play there is that Hastings is not going to be able to get to the quarterback rushing only 4 guys, and they're going to have to bring some pressure.
Dolinchek, 2 receivers left, 1 right, tight end on the right side of the formation as well. He gives it up the middle. It's Ryan Cole with a big burst of energy across midfield into Bronco territory. He's down at about the 45-yard line. The headlines judge gives him a first down to the 44. It's 10 yards, and Morningside will move the chains.
That's one of Morningside's many different RPO packages, and that time the secondary and the linebackers dropped in coverage, and you just hand it off to the running back.
2 receivers left, 1 right. Morningside moving the ball well on their first couple of plays. As they motion Johnson to the left side of the formation, they throw the screen pass out to Johnson. Gets a block from Norton. Left numbers 40, 35, first down and more to the 30. Up the left sideline, 27 to the 26. 17 yards on the little screen to Johnson. It's first down once again.
Well, you just throw the simple bubble screen, you pick up 16 yards. But, Johnson made the first guy miss, but, man, Zach Norton was doing a good job of blocking on the perimeter.
And, boy, that's always fun to see, watching the Morningside receivers make some good blocks on the edge. Now the Mustangs 1st and 10 for the Bronco 25. 2 receivers left and 1 right on the wide side of the field. They pitch it to Zach Norton. Jet sweep right side following Ryan Cole's block. What a block, right numbers 20, 15. Another block downfield from Josh Simmons to the 10 to the 5. And Zach Norton gets in for a 25-yard Mustang touchdown on the jet sweep. Norton takes the tap pass from Dolinchek and scores. And Morningside leads 6-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard.
Yeah, that's too easy. I mean, they just went 82 yards in about 4 plays, and they're getting yards in chunks. But Norton did a really good job of setting up the blocker. He dipped inside, which made the defensive player dip inside, and that set up the block for the perimeter. And so that was all Zach Norton.
Chase Carter with the point after try off of the hold of Justin McGellick at the punter, and the right-footed boot by Chase Carter is through the uprights, and it's good. 7-0 Mustangs, capping off a 4-play, 82-yard drive in just under 90 seconds. They lead 7-0 over Hastings on the People's Bank scoreboard. We're back in 30 seconds with more Mustang football on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. And we welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium for Homecoming 2022. Alongside Bob Goodvin, I'm Daniel Versteg up in the booth. Stephen Cutler joins us on the sideline, and we'll get a word in here from Stephen in not the not too distant future after Morningside caps off a 4-play, 82-yard drive in a minute and 25 seconds. A 25-yard jet sweep toss to Zach Norton, and the Mustangs lead 7-0 here on the People's Bank scoreboard. Chase Carter's out there. He'll boot this one away for the kickoff, and he gets a good right-footed boot into it. Sails out of the end zone for a touchback. Hastings will start at their own 25-yard line, and we bring in the third member of our crew. That's Stephen Cutler down on the sideline. Boy, Stephen, that was a drive to behold. The Mustang offense really rolling to start the contest.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference I've seen down here between the two teams is just the blocking up front, especially we only saw one run from Morningside there, but it was very well blocked. And then, of course, those passes out to the side, they're sealing off defenders really well right now.
Absolutely, Stephen, and that's something I think we're going to see a lot more as the game goes along, Bob. Hastings' offensive line, they have a couple of seniors on the tackles, but the middle is a lot of freshmen and juniors there for the Broncos. They throw a screen pass out to the right side. Brett Simonson, the running back, gets dropped for a loss back to the 20. Jalen Portis in on the stop. It'll be second down and 15.
Well, that's all but the same play that Morningside ran earlier, just a simple little bubble screen. But if you remember, I talked about Zach Norton blocking on the perimeter. That time the Hastings receivers did not block on the perimeter, and the play doesn't work at that point.
So second down and 15. Hastings had a great first play of this game, but since then have lost 6 yards offensively. Zamora drops back to throw. He stands in the pocket. Pocket's collapsing, and he throws it to the right sideline and incomplete, wide of any target. It'll be third down and 15 next for Hastings.
I don't know why that's not intentional grounding.
That's what I'm waiting for a flag, too.
There was nobody.
He was not out of the tackle box, and there's nobody in the area. I was just waiting for a flag, but none came. All right, well, third down and 15 here for Hastings from their own 20-yard line. The Broncos line up with 3 receivers left and 1 right. Zamora drops back, looks to the right side screen, now throws over to the left for Jayshon Wright, and he goes down for another loss. And who else is there on the stop but Jalen Portis back to the 16-yard line. It's a 4-yard loss, and the Broncos will punt on 4th and 19.
Not only Jalen Portis at the outside linebacker spot, but also Boyd coming from the safety spot, and it's just not a very good start right now for Hastings.
They had, like I said a couple of times now, a great first play, but since then they have lost a grand total of 10 yards. Jason Bockel kicks from his own 2-yard line, gets away a right-footed line drive end-over-end kick. Coming up to make a leaping play on it's Michael Payne trying to get to the left sideline and does. 40, 35, 30. Block up ahead to the 25, and he is banged out of bounds at the 21-yard line. It'll be first and 10 for the Mustangs. Actually, they move him out back to the 23, but still some outstanding field position as Morningside will try and go up by 2 scores early.
Well, the best part of that play was his ability to catch the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a low line drive punt, and he jumped up like a shortstop or a second baseman on line drive and caught it. And had he not caught that ball, it probably rolls 25, 30 yards.
Yeah, that thing had a lot of heat on it coming up the field, and that is a great play by Michael Payne. So it's first and 10 for the Mustangs from the Bronco 23-yard line after the short punt and then the great return. 2 receivers line up to the left following the motion. Dalenchek play action pass. Throws right side, batted in and out of the hands of Zach Norton. Almost picked off by Chris Pates, the corner, but he couldn't haul in the bobbled pass, and that all equals second down and 10 now.
Yeah, that's another weapon in the arsenal of the Morningside RPO system, and Joe just happened to throw the ball a little bit behind the receiver, but he was open.
He was very open, and well, Chris Pates, if he was ready for that deflection, probably we're talking about Hastings getting the football back. Here's second and 10 for the Bronco 23. 2 receivers right. Dalenchek play action, fakes again. Pass over the middle. Johnson's there on a crossing route over the middle. He's across the 10 to the 7-yard line. It's 16 yards to Austin Johnson, and it's first and goal.
Yeah, that's probably the 4th RPO that they've ran. That time they just hit the number 2 receiver on a slant, and Hastings has got to do something different defensively. They're getting 0 pressure on the quarterback.
Unbalanced line with 2 tight ends to the left of the formation, none to the right. 2 receivers right out of the pistol is Dalenchek. Johnson motions out there. Screen pass right side, follows the single block to the 5 right pylon. He lost the football, and they signal touchdown as there's been no whistle. Running it back the other way are the Broncos with Chris Pates.
Well, there's literally no way that can be a touchdown.
It can't be a touchdown, but now the officials blew it dead, and they signaled touchdown. Chris Pates came up with the football. Johnson absolutely lost it before getting into the end zone.
He had the football on the 5-yard line.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how they can even remotely say that's a touchdown.
Yeah, I think our lines judge just went into autopilot there. I think he assumed, like everybody else in the bleachers, that Johnson was going to walk that in for 6, but he coughed up the ball at about the 2-yard line. See what our official has for an explanation once he gives it to us. Oh, they called a touchdown. My goodness. Well, hey, if you're Morningside, you take it. But, Bob, I think that is a horribly blown call.
How does he cross the plane of the end zone and the defensive player has the ball on the 5-yard line without us being able to see the ball bounce or come through the air? I mean, and I think the Hastings coaches over there want an explanation, too.
I think so, too. I think we are obviously Morningside broadcasters, but I think Hastings just got robbed of a turnover as the point after try by Chase Carter is through the uprights and good. We'll get another look down on the sideline when we check in with Stephen Cutler after this break. It's 14-0. Morningside leads Hastings with 9:47 left to play in the first quarter. We'll be back in 30 seconds with more Mustang football here on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. And we welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium for Homecoming 2022 alongside Bob Goodvin up in the booth. I'm Daniel Versteeg. Stephen Cutler's down on the sideline. We're going to get a word in from Stephen here in just a minute, see what he saw on that touchdown reception by Austin Johnson. It was a screen pass. He took it down inside the 5, and that's when the ball popped out of his hands. It was recovered by Hastings, and they ruled a touchdown that well, at least from our view up in the booth, it didn't look like there was any way Austin Johnson could have crossed the plane with possession of the football, but they call a touchdown, and the Mustangs lead 14-0 here early on in the first quarter on our People's Bank scoreboard. Chase Carter will get ready to boot this one away, and the Broncos will try and get a good return back. They've been able to do that with Antoine Murphy and Jay-Sean Wright all season. This kick by Carter sails into the end zone for a touchback. So let's bring in the third member of our crew, Stephen Cutler. He's down on the field. He was watching the action. Stephen, what kind of things did you see on that touchdown play that ends up standing?
Well, I'm kind of with you guys. I don't really see how he missed it. The only thing I can come up with is Johnson was spinning into the end zone. Maybe he was watching Johnson, lost track of where the football was. But I'm kind of with you guys. I'm not sure how you can miss that.
I'm with you as well. All right, so we're not seeing things up here in the booth. I guess that's a good way to confirm that. Thank you very much, Stephen. I mean, we are obviously here as Morningside broadcasters, but we got to shoot it to you straight. I don't think that should have been a touchdown. But regardless, it is. You can't reverse the play in this level of college football. And the Broncos line up 1st and 10. Handoff up the middle. Brett Simonson. He gets some positive yards up to the 26, or a positive yard to the 26. It'll be 2nd and 9. So Hastings' offense is back onto the field after losing a grand total of 9 yards on their last possession offensively. They just could not get ahead of the chains. Now at least they are a yard ahead of the chains, making some progress here. Have 2nd and 9 from their own 26. 2 receivers left and 1 right of John Zamora. Takes the chest-high snap, throws to the out route left sideline, looking for Garrett Esch, and overthrew him and incomplete. Isaac Pingle in front of the receiver. John Andreessen over the top. The incompletion brings up 3rd and 9.
Well, I've been watching what Hastings is doing with Torian Tubbs. And then they line him up at the number 1 receiver spot every time. And, Morningside's going to put their best corner on him, and that's Walls. And right now, he doesn't even have a target yet.
And he's got a lot of cushion to work with if they want to try and do something short. Walls standing at the line to gain of the 35. Zamora drops to the throw on 3rd and 9. Lots of pressure. Throws to the sideline, overthrowing Jay-Sean Wright and incomplete. It'll be another fourth down scenario, and the Broncos are forced to go 3 and out and will punt the football.
Yeah, right now on both sides of the football, the lines of scrimmage are being dominated by Morningside, whether it's on defense or offense.
Yeah, the middle of that Hastings offensive line, I was looking at that when I was, getting my charts ready and things like that. High snap, Buckle leaps up to get it down, sends a great kick, a right-footed spiraler at the 35-yard line. Kind of dives, but does roll Hastings way up to the 28, and they'll down it there. 1st and 10 for the Mustangs from their own 28. But, Bob, as I was looking at the offensive lines, yeah, the tackles for Hastings are both seniors. They're pretty sizable guys. But then you take a look at the right guard, center. They're freshmen. Left guard's a junior. I mean, you've got a lot of, young guys on that Hastings offensive line, and they're getting a true test with what Morningside brings up on their defensive front four.
Well, they're also probably getting a look that they haven't seen before in Morningside's front, meaning they just do different things gap-wise than most teams do. And, I don't care how old they are. I want to know how many games they've played because that determines experience. And
1st and 10 for the Mustangs from the 28. Screen pass left side. Caught by Zach Norton. And getting around the block is Chris Pates once again at the 27-yard line. He stops Norton for a loss. And it'll be 2nd and 11.
If you're Zach Norton, you say to Austin Johnson, hey, dude, I blocked for you last time. Come on, man. Because Austin didn't do quite as good a job blocking the corner that time.
No, he got beaten, just kind of accepted his fate, I guess, on that play. 2nd and 11 for the Mustangs from their own 27. Got a fullback to the left of Dolinchek and Jack Sievert, and a tailback directly behind him in the pistol. They motion Zach Norton into the backfield. They fake it to Zach, drop it to throw. Dolinchek, he's got Austin Johnson wide open middle of the field. Makes the catch 35, takes it right sideline to the 10, to the 5, and all the way home for a Mustang touchdown. 73-yard pitch and catch on a fake end around. Joe Dolinchek finds Austin Johnson, and the Mustangs are up 20-0 on Hastings on the People's Bank scoreboard.
Think about the last series where they ran the jet sweep and picked up 15, 20 yards. And when you run jet sweeps, you got to trigger the safety. I mean, he's got to come up and be in run support, or otherwise you're just outnumbered. And that's exactly what happened, even though it wasn't a jet sweep look, but it's the same thing. And the safety triggered, and I said right away, that's a touchdown.
Yeah, you saw that developing right away, and as soon as the fake happened, it's evident that Morningside was going to get 6 points there, and Chase Carter with a right-footed boot kicks it through, and Morningside is wasting no time. They lead 21-0 on Hastings with 8:12 left in the first quarter. We'll take a break. Back with more Mustang football in 30 seconds here on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS Sioux City. We welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium, broadcasting to you from the Irving and Carolyn Jensen press box here for Homecoming 2022 at Morningside University. Alongside Bob Goodfin, I'm Daniel Versteg. Stephen Cutler's down on the sideline, and we'll be checking in with Stephen following the kickoff. 8:12 remaining in quarter number one. Top-ranked Morningside leads Hastings, no problem, 21-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard. A 73-yard touchdown pass on a fake jet sweep end around, and Morningside leads this ball game by 3 scores. That touchdown pass to Austin Johnson. Chase Carter does what Chase Carter does best, kicks it out of the end zone for a touchback, and Hastings will start from their own 25-yard line. Let's check in with Mr. Cutler down on the sideline, the third member of our crew. Stephen, what kind of things have you been seeing as you've been roaming around down there?
I've been hanging around some defensive huddles here on the sideline. They don't appear to be too worried about this Hastings team going downfield at all. As Bob mentioned earlier, just single coverage on their top receiver out there right now.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Stephen. Yeah, they're not a whole lot to be worried about here for the Mustangs defense at this point. Handoff around the left side on the first play of the drive. Goes to Brett Simonson, and he's got positive yards up to the 27. It's a pickup of 2. It'll be probably a second down and a long 8. Morningside leads this ball game 21-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard. If you're out here for homecoming or if you haven't gotten out here yet, you got some time later on today, make sure you come on out to the Taste of Morningside. Get started after the football contest. Of course, many great institutions around Morningside will have some great things for you to enjoy. And then there's volleyball as well here on campus later today. Handoff up the middle. Brett Simonson gets stopped for a loss back to the 20. He'll lose the 2 yards he gained on the last play, and it'll be 3rd down and 10. Well, the offense for Hastings has just been stood up. 12 plays, 13 yards for Hastings so far today. Here's 3rd down and 10 for the Broncos from their own 25-yard line. Zamora empties the backfield. His wide receivers are close. Drops 3 steps to throw. Throws an out route right side. Caught by Simonson. Dijon Walls runs him backwards at about the 20-yard line. And they are going to stop him with forward progress at the original line of scrimmage. No gain. Brings up 4th down and 10 and another punting situation.
Well, I think they were hoping for man coverage right there because they bunched the trips receivers up and they put them right off the edge of the formation, meaning real close to the tackle. And Morningside just sat in zone, and when they threw the ball into the flat, Walls was sitting right there to make the play.
Dijon Walls, an outstanding corner addition for the Mustangs as they transfer. This snap bounces to Bockel, but he still gets a good right-footed end-over-end kick, kind of dies up in the air, and a fair catch is made to the 46-yard line of Morningside by Michael Payne. And so the Mustangs will once again get outstanding field position and start another drive. Leading this ball game by a score of 21-0, 6:27 left to play in quarter number 1 on our People's Bank scoreboard. Morningside incredibly efficient with the football. They have run 4 fewer plays than Hastings so far in this ball game. They have 21 more points on the board. Dolinchek empties the backfield. He motions a tight end to the right side of the formation, putting 4 receivers out there. Throws a screen pass. It bounces in front of Zach Norton and falls incomplete. It was a forward pass, so no fumble. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Well, they're trying to run the tunnel screen to the number 2 receiver, and Joe just kind of bounced it out there that time.
Well, just trying to shorten up his delivery probably, and ended up just spiking it a little bit. The Morningside will now line up on 2nd and 10 from the 46-yard line. Empty backfield for Joe. 3 receivers right. Tight end motions closer to the formation in Sione Tuifua on the left side. Dropping a throw. Dolinchek steps up. Throws deep over the right sideline for Austin Johnson. He overthrows him, incomplete. Dolinchek took a hit. It was Harrison Uday who made the pressure on Dolinchek, and now it's 3rd and 10.
And that time, Morningside actually kept the tight end Tuifua in the block, so they had close to maximum protection. And Austin Johnson was open. Joe just overthrew him, but they still were able to get a little bit of pressure on him and knock him down, at least hit him.
Mm-hmm. Something not a whole lot of teams can be able to say. The play clock is down at 0. Joe Dolinchek is trying to get the White Hats' attention as to maybe the play clock needs to be reset, and now they're going to talk things over a little bit. 6:18 to play in the first quarter. It is 21-0 in favor of top-ranked Morningside here on our People's Bank scoreboard. Mustangs hosting Hastings for homecoming 2021. Now we reset the play clock and we're ready to go. 3rd down and 10 for the Mustangs. Morningside has not had a 3rd down, period. Not even a conversion, not even an attempt for the Mustangs. Let's see how they do here on 3rd and 10 from the 46. Dolinchek empties the backfield, motioning the running back. Throws wide of Austin Johnson. Threw it well behind him and incomplete. It'll be 4th and 10, and Morningside goes 3 and out.
Well, they motioned the running back out to the trip side, to the wide side of the field, and they brought number 3 in and kind of sat him in the middle of the formation and in between the linebackers and safeties, and he was open. I think Joe just missed his read right there.
Yeah, it looked like Austin was coming in on the route, and Joe almost looked like he was going to go outside, but the punt now is out here for Morningside. Justin McElligott to boot it away. Low snap. It gets by McElligott inside the 25. He has to pick it up and fall on it at the 22. And Hastings is going to get the football with some incredible field position. They'll start from the Mustang 22-yard line.
Yeah, the ball was a little bit low. I think in the perfect world, you'd expect your punter to catch that one because if you look back at the last 2 times Hastings punted, the ball's rolled back to him a couple times, and he's played shortstop and got off pretty decent punts considering. And that time the Morningside punter just didn't field the ball.
So the low snap, yeah, again, bounces to McElligott. Didn't make a play. And now Hastings has 1st and 10 from the Mustang 22. Out of the gun with 3 backs is Zamora. Throws a screen pass right side. Simonson tries to break off the right corner, and he does get positive yardage up to the 20-yard line. And the Broncos are now right on the doorstep of the red zone. They'll have 2nd and 8 from the 20.
Isaac Pingle didn't make the tackle, but he made the play because he blew it up, and that allowed the pursuit of the Morningside defense to get there. So Pingle doesn't get a stat, but he made the play.
2nd down and 8 for the Broncos from the Mustang 20-yard line. Again, 3 men in the backfield along with Zamora. Handoff up the middle. Simonson bounced off the left side, and he gets deeper into the red zone to the 18-yard line. He's got another gain of 2, and it'll be 3rd and 6 for the Broncos.
It's very difficult to run the ball against Morningside's scheme, not to mention their talent. But their scheme just doesn't really allow you to run the football unless you're just better than them.
5:14 to go in the first quarter. Morningside 21, Hastings nothing. 3rd and 6. Zamora throws a 50-50 ball left corner of the end zone, going up and unable to make the play. On the left side is Ethan Wilborn. John Andreessen on the coverage. It'll be 4th and 6, and here comes the Bronco field goal unit.
Now that's a pretty good throw by Zamora. They just threw a fade to the wide side of the field, and to be honest with you, you expect your receiver to go up and make that play.
Yeah, even with some good coverage, he got his hands on the football. If you get your hands on it, you're kind of expected to catch it. But Bockel now trying to go for his 4th field goal make of the season. This will be a 35-yarder, matching his longest make of the season. Right-footed kick. Oh, it tails left, and it is no good. Jason Bockel pulls the kick wide left, and the Broncos start at the Morningside 22 and come away with 0 as Morningside takes over offensively.
Well, I think the Morningside defense is really dominating the game right now. If you take away the very first play of the game, which was a big play, they got 20 yards plus. I don't know if they've gotten 10 yards in offense since.
They have not even gotten positive yardage since. They have lost 4 yards since they started with 21 on the first play of the contest. And now Morningside takes over from their own 20. Austin Johnson motions right to left in the formation, curls around. Dolencheck, the quarterback. Now they throw the screen back there to Johnson. He follows his blocks to the right numbers, 25, and gets out of bounds before the first down marker. At about the 28-yard line, it's a pickup of 8 for Austin Johnson to bring up 2nd and 2.
Well, I think what you're seeing early on is that there might be a penalty on this play. Looks like there might be holding.
I know.
But you're seeing that the receivers of Morningside are just better athletes than the defensive backs for Hastings right now.
Oh, yeah. Now I do see the flag. It's all the way down at the Bronco 48-yard line, 24 yards from where the play ended up. So there must have been some extracurriculars going on with a block downfield between Morningside wide receiver and a Broncos secondary man. And it's a sideline warning on the Broncos. So that's what the call is. And they actually called sideline interference. It was not a warning. Sometimes you get sideline warnings right away. They call sideline interference right away. 15 yards on the penalty, and Morningside will get it up to the 43 and have 1st and 10. They tack that on to the end of the 8-yard reception to Austin Johnson on the screen. Now a handoff, Ryan Cole up the middle, and he is stopped for a loss. Back to the 41-yard line. The Broncos get in there with Lathan Shaw, the nose guard, and a couple of other Broncos. It'll be 2nd down and 12.
Well, I would have to think that penalty meant that a ref hit somebody on the sideline.
Had to, yeah.
I mean, otherwise you give them a warning, and I know exactly what the Hastings coaches are thinking right now.
Here's 2nd and a dozen from the 41 for the Mustangs. Dolencheck out of the gun, play action fake, throws an out route left side, caught by Johnson at the 48-yard line, and he gets run out of bounds right at midfield. It's a gain of 9. It'll be 3rd and 3.
Yeah, it's obvious right now that Hastings doesn't match up with the Morningside receivers. That's very obvious. They're wide open in the pass schemes, and if they want to, they're going to set an NAIA passing record today, I think.
Well, already 176 yards passing for the Mustangs. So, yeah, that's probably a good pace. Here's 3rd and 3 from midfield. 3 receivers right, 2 left. Dolencheck emptying the backfield. He throws it left side, caught by Josh Simmons. across the 45 to the 44 of Hastings. He got 6 when he needed 3, and Morningside has 1st and 10.
Yeah, you're on pace right now to get about 800 yards passing if you want.
Yeah, I would have to imagine that's a record. I don't think I need to look at the record books to see if that's a record. 3:20 to go here in the first quarter of the contest. Want to remind you, you're listening to Mustang Football here on KMNS Sioux City, Fox Sports Radio 620, also on the iHeartRadio app and on 620KMNS.com. 1st and 10 for the Bronco 44. Dalenchik play action fake. Takes a shot deep over right sideline. Zach Norton and over the shoulder grab inside the 10, and he stays in bounds on the right sideline. Gets into the end zone for a Mustang touchdown. Zach Norton hauls one in from 44 yards out. It's his 6th touchdown reception of the season, and the Mustangs go up by 4 scores. It's 27-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard.
Yeah, Norton was the number 1 receiver to the wide side of the field, and he just ran a post corner, and that corner had no chance of covering that, and the safety was nowhere to be found either.
And Jace Carter will do what he does best, tack on point after tries with 3:03 left in the first quarter. Off of the hold of the punter, Justin McElligott. Here is the snap. It's a good one. Right-footed boot off of the spot by McElligott. It's through the uprights and good. 28-0. Morningside on top. 3:03 left to play in the first quarter of the contest. We'll take another 30-second break, and we're back with more Mustang football after this on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. We welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium in Sioux City alongside Bob Goodman. I'm Daniel Versteg. Stephen Cutler is down on the sideline, and we're going to get a word in here from Stephen in just a moment as he tries to eavesdrop to the best he can on some of the conversations going down on the sideline. It's 28-0. Top-ranked Morningside leads Hastings here on the People's Bank scoreboard. 3:03 remaining in the first quarter. The Mustangs get a 44-yard touchdown reception from Joe Dalenchik to Zach Norton. 5 plays, 80 yards. And that makes it the longest drive by number of plays in this contest. This kick was touched by the Bronco return man. Antoine Murphy picks it up in the end zone. He kneels it down. And that will be a touchback for the Broncos. That was almost catastrophic.
Well, it's a muff.
It is a muff.
The ball should have been dead right away. I mean,
well, it is a touchback, and the Broncos will have 1st and 10 from the 25. Stephen Cutler's down on the sideline. Let's check in with him. Stephen, what have you been hearing down there?
Well, especially after these offensive possessions, it's hard to hear with the band playing and everything. But I was trying to see what Joe Dalenchik was talking to his receivers with. It's amazing the chemistry they have. He knows where they're going to be 5 yards into the play. Yeah,
it's impressive what he's got going with them. Here is John Zamora taking a shot for Garrett Esch. He makes the catch across midfield. He's out of bounds deep into Mustang territory. They spot him at the 41, and Hastings picks up 34 on their first play, and we'll have a 1st and 10 in the Morningside territory. That is a great ball to Garrett Esch, the sophomore receiver from Columbus, Nebraska. And the Broncos 1st and 10 for the Mustang 41. 5-receiver look. Zamora barks commands to his O-line as Morningside stacks the box with 6. And they rush all 6. Here comes the rush. Lob ball, right seam. Over the shoulder grab inside the 15-yard line. And Hastings is moving as Courtney Lane has a long completion up to the 11. They give him the 10. It's 31 and another 1st down.
Well, Hastings went empty, meaning they had no backs in the backfield. And Morningside brought heat. They brought 6 people, and they weren't able to get to Zamora, and Zamora just kind of threw the ball up over the middle of the field, and Hastings' receiver was able to run and get it.
Right away, 2 plays, 65 yards. Now the Broncos go empty again. Zamora, 3 receivers left, 2 right. Mustangs rush 4. Zamora throws quickly left side, and Lonell Boyd Jr. bats the pass away from Jay Sean Wright, and incomplete. It'll be 2nd and goal for the Broncos from the 10.
I would think very soon they gotta try to get the ball to their number 1 receiver, Tubbs. They haven't even thrown the ball to him yet.
Torian Tubbs, 19 catches, 3 touchdowns, 300 yards receiving this year for the Broncos. And like Bob has mentioned a couple of times, he has not been thrown to once. Second and goal from the 10. Morningside brings 6. They lob up a ball to the left corner of the end zone, and he split his targets. Garrett Ash and Brett Simonson were were there in the area of that football. The incompletion brings up 3rd and 10.
It kind of looked like they're trying to throw the fade to the slot receiver, the big tight end, and they weren't on the same page, needless to say.
So now 3rd and goal for the Broncos from the Mustang 10-yard line. The first 65 yards have come with no problem for Hastings, but the final 10 going to be like pulling teeth. John Zamora empties the backfield again, and Morningside head football coach Steve Ryan wants a timeout. Minute 55 to go in the first quarter. Morningside leads Hastings 28-0 on the People's Bank scoreboard. We'll be back in 30 seconds with more Mustang football. You are listening to the Mustangs here on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. We welcome you back here to Elwood Olson Stadium up in the Irving and Carolyn Jensen press box. Alongside Bob Goodvin, I'm Daniel Verstag. Stephen Cutler's down on the sideline with a minute 55 left to go in the first quarter. Let's see if we can check in with Stephen here real quick. He was listening in on that timeout. Stephen, what kind of things were Morningside talking about in that huddle there?
It's really hard to tell as far as what they were saying. A lot of the discussion was directed at the linebackers, though, in that huddle, so let's see what happens.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Stephen. Here is Zamora dropping a throw on 3rd and 10. Pass over the middle. It's caught. Jay-Sean Wright inside the 5. He gets in for a Bronco touchdown. Jay-Sean Wright hauls in the quick route over the middle for 10 yards and his 3rd receiving touchdown of the season. And the Broncos have broken the scoreless mark on the board. It's 28-6. Mustangs on top of the People's Bank scoreboard.
That's a really good route by number 11 there. He ran a little slant route to zero coverage, meaning it was just pure man. Again, Morningside's bringing pressure, but it kind of looked like he came up limping, and he's limping badly on the sideline right now.
That's not a good sight for the Broncos as Jason Bockel puts through the point after off of the hold of John Zamora. But the Broncos do have points on the board. It's 28-7 in favor of Morningside with a minute 50 to go in the first quarter here on our People's Bank scoreboard. We'll take another 30-second break, and we're back with more Mustang football after this here on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. We welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium inside the Irving and Carolyn Jensen press box. Alongside Bob Goodvin, I'm Daniel Versteg. Stephen Cutler's down on the sideline with a minute 50 to go here in the first quarter. Top-ranked Morningside leads Hastings 28-7 on the People's Bank scoreboard, but the Broncos just finished a 5-play, 75-yard drive. Took a minute and 13 off the clock, and it is finished with a 10-yard touchdown pass from John Zamora to Jay-Sean Wright. And the Broncos now boot a short pooch, right-footed end over end. It bounces, picked up at the 11-yard line, or 31-yard line, excuse me. And Isaac Bauer falls on it and dies on it, and Morningside will have 1st and 10 from their own 31. Now Morningside, Bob, is coming off a drive in which they went 3 and out. Earlier on here in the first quarter, I should say. They were able to get back into the end zone on their last drive, but now the defense has given up some points. Do you think Morningside hustles here a little bit and has a little bit of urgency in them maybe?
Well, I kind of think that's what they do every time they have the ball. I mean, that's
Here's Joe Dolanchek in the gun. Handoff up the middle. Ryan Cole lowers his shoulder. Big collision in the middle. He stays on his feet and gets across the other side of the 35 to the 36. He's got 5. It's 2nd and 5.
I will say one thing about Cole. When he runs hard. Mm-hmm. He runs with a bad attitude, but they just aren't able to open holes up for him in the run game, and And that's why they've turned to the passing game so much.
2nd and 5, Dolencheck out of the gun. Handoff up the middle. Cole's got a first down and more. Big burst of speed in between the seams. Across the 45 to midfield and into Bronco territory at the 47-yard line. It's a pickup of 17 and another first down for Morningside.
And as soon as I say that, they open up a big hole.
3 receivers right and 1 left for Morningside on 1st and 10 for the Bronco 47. Handoff up the middle. It's Cole. And he's trying to dance his way through the line. This time there's no hole to run through, and he's stopped at the 45. It's a gain of 2 to bring up 2nd and 8.
I think I'll say that before every snap. I'll just say they can't open up holes for him. And so
there you go.
Yeah.
And he'll break off 20 yards every time.
That would be good coaching.
It would be, yeah. A little reverse psychology in there. I like it. And Bryson Freeberg takes over at the running back spot on 2nd and 8 for the Bronco 45. They fake the give to Freeberg, throw the quick route right side, and wide open is Josh Simmons outside the right numbers to the 35. He's got a first down across the 30, out of bounds to the 29. 16 yards for number 16. Gives the Mustangs a first down.
That's another one of those RPOs. And that's a pre-snap RPO, but it's still an RPO.
And fake the handoff this time. Freeberg, they throw left side, and again it's to Josh Simmons. He goes to the other side of the field, but he doesn't have quite the success he had on the right side. It's a pickup of few yards, about 8 yards to the 21. It'll be 2nd and 2.
That's literally the same play, just the other way.
And now Josh Simmons on the right side of the field again. 6 seconds left in the quarter. Handoff Freeberg up the middle to the 20. He gets into the red zone of the 18-yard line. He's got a first down for a gain of 3. And Morningside will have first down and 10 inside the red zone to start quarter number 2. Top-ranked Morningside leads Hastings 28-7 on the People's Bank scoreboard after 1 quarter. Back in 1 minute with quarter number 2 here on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. We welcome you back to Albert Olson Stadium inside the Irving Carolyn Jensen press box. Alongside Bob Goodfin, I'm Daniel Versteg. Stephen Cutler's down on the sideline as we start quarter number 2 with the Mustangs on top. First down and 10 from the Bronco 18-yard line. Dolencheck with 2 receivers on either side. His back off his right hip in the gun. Morningside up 28-7 to start the second. Dolencheck drops to throw, stands tall in the pocket, passes deep over the back of the end zone, and finds Austin Johnson for a Mustang touchdown. Austin Johnson's 3rd touchdown reception of this ball game. The 5th touchdown pass from Joe Dolencheck. It goes for 18 yards, and the Mustangs lead 34-7 here on the People's Bank scoreboard.
Well, one, if you want to watch a perfect throw, watch that throw. I mean, they had the receiver bracketed, meaning they had a corner underneath and a safety over the top, and he threw the ball in a perfect spot. So
can't do it any better than that. And the Mustangs take a 4-score lead early in the second quarter. Spot and kick is through the uprights. And good for Chase Carter, 35-7. Morningside on top of Hastings on the People's Bank scoreboard. Starting quarter number 2. We'll be back in 30 seconds. We'll have more Mustang football for you after this on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. And we welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium inside the Irving and Carolyn Jensen press box alongside Bob Goodfin. I'm Daniel Versteg. Stephen Cutler is down on the sideline early on in the second quarter. We're going to check in with Stephen following this kickoff. Morningside leads 35-7 over Hastings here on the People's Bank scoreboard. Joe Dolencheck, 5 touchdown passes already in this ballgame. As a high right-footed kick into the boundary, fielded on a hop by Antoine Murphy. Left sideline at the 20, outside the numbers. He stood up at the 23, and that is where Hastings will start this drive. We check in with Stephen Cutler, the third member of our crew down on the sideline. Stephen, what have you seen? What do you know down there?
Well, you guys were talking earlier about just how the run game's been pretty inconsistent over the course of this year. Well, the one real nice run they had on that drive was off a little draw there, and you're obviously not going to be able to do that a lot, but it was pretty successful at that point.
At that point, yeah, Stephen, you're looking for something that you can build off of, and that run is hopefully something that they can utilize in the future. Thank you very much for that report. Here's Samora dropping a throw on 1st and 10. Throws toward the right numbers. It's caught at the 30-yard line as Courtney Lane gets run out of bounds across the 33 to the 35. He's got 12, and the Broncos left 1st and 10.
Well, when the offense lines up in an empty set and the defense is playing man coverage, your matchup is on the number 3 receiver or the number 2 receiver. That's where you have the safety or the linebacker on your receiver, and then that. Good job by Zamora recognizing the weakness of the coverage right there.
3 receivers left, 1 right. Now a man in the backfield for Zamora as he drops back to throw. Stands tall in the pocket. It's collapsing. Throws toward the right sideline. Overthrows his target, just trying to get rid of it. And incomplete. It'll be 2nd down and 10. As Hastings trails this contest 35-7 on the People's Bank scoreboard. 14-15 remains in the first half of this contest. Coming up at halftime, we're going to check in with the M Club Hall of Fame members. We'll tell you who's getting inducted, of course, if you don't already know. And they're going to be doing that here at halftime. We'll bring that to you here on our halftime coverage. Zamora lines up in the gun. 3 receivers left, 2 right. A chest high snap, 3-step drop. Zamora chucks it deep over the right sideline. Dijon Walls is there, but he couldn't haul in the well overthrown ball for Torian Tubbs. The first time they've gone to Tubbs here today. The incompletion will bring up 3rd and 10.
Yeah, they just ran him on a fade route, but he doesn't have the speed to run past Walls at that point, and plus Walls had help over the top with safety, so
Drew Bessie in on that coverage as well. It's good to see Bessie still out in the lineup, even if he's trying to keep that hand from getting injured even further. 3rd and 10 for the Broncos for their own 35-yard line as Zamora lines up by himself in the gun. Zamora takes a chest-high snap, drops to throw, passes over the left numbers. It's caught. Jay-Sean Wright, 45 to midfield. He gives it up out of bounds on the Morningside end of the field. And a 15-yard completion to Jay-Sean Wright means it'll be 1st and 10 for Hastings.
I think the little guy got away with a little push right there. When he come out of his break, he gave Portis a pretty good push, and Portis is complaining about it.
Boy, to give Portis enough of a push to move him over, he really had to interfere with them at that point.
It's not a little push. You're exactly right.
Here's 1st and 10 of the 50-yard line. Zamora lines up in the gun. He throws a screen pass right side. Courtney Lane couldn't haul it in and incomplete. Lonell Boyd was in hot pursuit and gave Lane a huge shot after that hit off his hands. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Yeah, just a bubble screen, and the number 2 receiver doesn't block the flat defender, and he comes untouched and hits the receiver. And that's... If you're the receiver, you're not too happy about that.
Here's 2nd and 10 for the Broncos now from midfield. 35-7 Morningside here on the People's Bank scoreboard for homecoming. Zamora drops back to throw. He throws toward the single receiver left sideline. It is Wilborn, who couldn't haul it in. Incompletion over the top brings up 3rd down and 10.
See, that's probably something Hastings can do right there is attack the boundary. If you put Tubbs to the field and you're going to take Walls to the field with them, and you can probably attack the boundary if you can put a good receiver in there.
3rd and 10. They put Tubbs in between 2 receivers on the right side and empty the backfield for Zamora. He's got 5 receivers in the formation. Morningside with just 1 linebacker out there as dropping to throw is Zamora. He takes a shot toward that left sideline. Jay-Sean Wright behind his defender, comes back to the football and didn't haul it in, but we do have a flag on that pass as Wright now is slow to get up as well. He is hobbling around down there on the left sideline. John Andreessen was on the coverage for that, and I think Hastings going to end up with a 1st down off of this play. Pass interference called on John Andreessen, 15 yards for the Broncos. They'll get a 1st down up to the Morningside 35.
If you take into consideration how fast that Hastings receiver is, and the fact that you have a linebacker running with him a little bit, I mean, that tells me that's a heck of a play by that linebacker. I know he interfered with him, but to be able to run with him at that point.
Here is first down and 10 now for the Broncos for the Morningside 35. 3 receivers right and 1 left of John Zamora in the gun. He takes the snap, short drop, pocket collapses. He rolls to his left, throws on the run down the sideline and short of his target, Ethan Wilborn, and incomplete. Brings up 2nd and 10. And we have a Bronco lineman that is down on the play. That is the center, Brock Burish, the freshman from Phillipsburg, Kansas, who is slow to get up. Following that play with 13:15 to go in the first half, Morningside leading Hastings 35-7 here on the People's Bank scoreboard. And we have an injury timeout. We'll take a break as well. We'll be back in 30 seconds with more Mustang football from Elwood Olson Stadium and Homecoming 2022 here on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS Sioux City. We welcome you back here to Elwood Olson Stadium alongside Bob Goodvin. I'm Daniel Versteg. Stephen Cutler's down on the sideline as Hastings tries to get their offensive lineman up off of the turf and get him back into the action. Morningside leads Hastings 35-7 here on the People's Bank scoreboard. 13:15 remaining in the first half of the contest as they do get him up onto his feet, and they'll help him off the field here in this contest. And Bob, Hastings is now being able to move the football down the field a little bit, and they had a penalty to help him out, but they got to feel good right now with the spot they're in here at the Morningside 35.
Well, I think they've decided to, just put Tubbs, their best receiver, to the field. I do notice that they're kind of moving him around a little bit. They're putting him in the one spot, and now he's lining up as the number 2 receiver in trips. But what they're really doing is attacking the boundary, and they're throwing the ball away from walls, which is probably a smart thing to do. But if you look right now, when they line Tubbs up in the number 2 spot, they still have walls on him. Mm-hmm. If they would line him up in the number 3 spot, I don't think they would have walls on him at that point, and it'd be kind of interesting to see if they could do that.
2nd and 10 for the Broncos for the Mustang 35 as Zamora empties the backfield, takes a quick pass over the right seam, and he overthrows Courtney Lane and incomplete. That ball thrown just a little bit too far. Had it been accurate, that might have been 6, but instead it's an incompletion, and it's 3rd and 10. Courtney Lane had gotten by Drew Bessie at about the 15-yard line and was behind him when the ball was coming his way. But again, thrown just a little too far for Lane, the 5'10", 171-pound senior wide receiver, to haul it in. And now 3rd and 10 upcoming here for Hastings for the Mustang 35. 3 receivers right and 1 left of John Zamora in the gun. Simonson off his right hip. Zamora, the helmet high snap, short drop, going to keep it on a run up the middle, and he gets back to the line of scrimmage, but that's about it. No gain for the Broncos. It'll be 4th down and 10.
Yeah, that's a quarterback RPO draw right there, and he's reading a secondary level player, meaning a linebacker, perhaps a safety up in the linebacker box, and the defense took away the pass option, so he takes off running, and again, it's very hard to run the ball between the tackles on Morningside just because of their schematics, not to mention their players. I mean,
well, 4th and 10. The Broncos are going to go for it here with 12.5 minutes left in the first half. But again, the Mustangs lead 35-7 on the People's Bank scoreboard. 2 receivers on either side of Zamora in the gun. Takes the chest-high snap, 3-step drop, stands up in the pocket, evades the first would-be Sackler, and he goes down as the ball gets knocked away. Jonah Kohlbaum, Weston Schultz bring him down. The ball recovered by the Broncos at the 39, but it won't obviously be enough. It'll be 4th down, or a turnover on downs, I should say, and Morningside gets 1st and 10 of their own 39. Just great pressure by the Mustangs, Bob. They know how to get into the backfield. Again, we're seeing it on both sides of the line. Morningside's been able to dominate here today.
Well, if you're a defensive player and you know it's a passing situation, you don't have to be as gap sound. I mean, you still have a gap, but you don't have to be as gap sound, which means you can tie your ears back and go, and that's exactly what Morningside did there.
Now, Hastings head coach Matt Franzen's talking to our white hat, very animated over there. I wonder what he's arguing about specifically.
Well, I think, one, he's still arguing about the fumble.
Probably.
and two, he's arguing about the interference call. I mean, the sideline interference call.
Sure.
And three, I think he's saying that the receiver got held there.
Well, that would have made a difference for sure. Here's 1st and 10 for Dolenchek and the Mustangs. He throws toward the left sideline, coming back to the football. Austin Johnson trapped it at the 47-yard line, didn't haul it in, the incompletion, and bring up 2nd and 10.
You know, again, Joe just underthrew him a little bit. I mean, he was open on the deep out route, but I think what you're seeing as Morningside goes east to west, I think the ball is affected a little bit by the wind.
Yeah. Now that American flag here for at Elwood Olson Stadium on the east end of the field is well extended, and so that gives a good idea how much the wind has picked up. Throw here for Dolenchek, left numbers, is caught by Zach Norton across midfield, and he's down to the Bronco 49-yard line. It's a pickup of 12 and a 1st down for Morningside.
That's a great play by Dolenchek. There was a blitz coming off the edge, and the snap was low, so it kind of screwed up the timing of the play, but he held in there, and he got hit.
Handoff up the middle on 1st and 10. Ryan Cole gets stood up for a loss. He gets back to midfield, but that's about it. A loss of a yard. It'll be 2nd and 11 now for Morningside.
And for a quarterback to stand in there when you know you're going to get hit and throw the ball, I mean, that's a heck of a play. And the average person doesn't understand how tough that is.
2nd and 11 from midfield as a play-action pass coming from Dolenchek. Throws right numbers to Michael Payne. He's across the 45 to the 42-yard line. It's a gain of 8, and now 3rd and 3 upcoming.
You know, again, that was an RPO again, and I think it's a pre-snap RPO, and they just look out there and say, okay, the pass is going to be there, so we're going to make it look like the run, but we're throwing the pass. But where most RPOs are post-snap reads.
11 minutes left here in the first half. Morningside leading Hastings 35-7 on the People's Bank scoreboard. 3rd and 3 for the Mustangs to the Bronco 42. Dolenchek drops to throw, passes right numbers. Johnson's wide open in the coverage, 35-20. Right numbers 15-10. He gets run out of bounds inside the 10. They spot him at the 8. It's a gain of 34. It'll be 1st and goal.
I think there he just recognizes it's zone defense. He recognizes there's cushion, and he just settles in the window. And him and Dolenchek seem to be on the same page every play.
1st and goal. Dolenchek fakes the give Cole. He throws right once again to Austin Johnson, and great coverage over the top by Carlo Terrell. Bats it away and incomplete. It'll be 2nd and goal up next.
Yeah, you hit it on the head there, Daniel. That was good coverage because that's a pretty good throw. I mean, they threw the out into the end zone, and Dolenchek threw the ball exactly where it needed to be, and the DB just made a good play on the ball.
It's Carlo Terrell, the senior from Kansas City, Missouri. Now 2nd and goal for the Mustangs from the Bronco 8-yard line. Dolenchek, 2 receivers left. He gives it to Cole around the left side. He lowers his shoulder across the 5, gets stood up at the 4. It's a gain of 4 to bring up 3rd and goal. Got a whistle. Stops play. I think nobody lost their helmet. I think they're just trying to get people. Oh, no, I think they did have a player lose their helmet in there. So it'll be 3rd and goal for the Mustangs from the Bronco 4. And now they'll get the clock winded once again. 35-7 Morningside as they line up 3rd and goal for the Bronco 4. They shift 2 tight ends to the right side of the formation. Dolenchek in the pistol. Receiver on either side. He takes the belt high snap. 3-step drop. Looking to throw for the end zone. Overthrows Ryan Cole, but finds Josh Simmons in the end zone, who was there on the other side, and makes the catch a yard deep for a Mustang touchdown. Joe Dolenchek has dished out his 6th touchdown pass of the contest, his 20th of the year, and Morningside leads Hastings 41-7 on the People's Bank scoreboard.
It's kind of it makes you think who he's throwing the ball to right there, because it looked like he's throwing to Cole coming out of the backfield.
Right.
It went over his head into the hands of the receiver.
And Josh Simmons, his first touchdown reception of the season, and the point after try by Chase Carter adds the cherry on top. Morningside leads Hastings 42-7 on the People's Bank scoreboard. 10:05 remains in the first half. We're back in 30 seconds with more Mustang football. Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. And we welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium in Sioux City alongside Bob Goodfin. I'm Daniel Verstag. Stephen Cutler's down on the sideline. We'll check in with Stephen here in just a moment as Joe Dolinchek throws his 6th touchdown pass of this ball game. It is the 19th time in the history of Morningside football that a Mustang quarterback has thrown 6 touchdowns in a ball game, and it's the 3rd time that Joe Dolinchek has done it in his career, with the 2 other times coming in 2019. Ben Steffens with a right-footed end-over-end boot. This one's fielded by Antoine Murphy at the 16-yard line. He takes it in between the numbers in the hash across the 25 to the 26. And Broncos offense will come out of the field for 1st and 10. Stephen Cutler down on the sideline with us. Stephen, what have you seen down there?
You go back to that last touchdown pass, and it was basically the same route as the incomplete one to Johnson. They just kind of changed up the pre-play a little bit. Those 2 tight ends went into motion, a little bit more misdirection in the backfield, and it worked the second time.
It absolutely did work, and thankfully Josh was there behind Ryan Cole, who was unable to haul in the first try there. Here's the handoff up the middle. It's Brett Simonson who carries it for 2 to the 28, brings up 2nd down and 8. I guess it's one of those kind of deals, Bob. We probably won't ever know who Joe's intended to throw the ball to on that touchdown pass, but he got a touchdown. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. That's exactly right.
6 touchdown passes on the day for Joe Dolinchek. He's trying to become just the 4th Mustang quarterback in program history to throw 7 touchdown passes in a ball game. It's happened only 5 total times. Handoff, sweeper on the right side. Brett Simonson turns the corner. He gets across the 30 to the 32-yard line. It's a gain of 5 for the Broncos, and that'll set up 3rd down and 4. Up to the 32-yard line goes Hastings with 9:10 to play in the first half. Top-ranked Morningside leads Hastings 42-7 here on the People's Bank scoreboard. And 3rd down and 4 upcoming for the Broncos from their own 32-yard line. Got to get to the 36 to convert the first down. There's Zamora in the gun. 2 receivers on either side. Takes a snap, short drop, stands tall in the pocket, throws deep over the middle, and nobody's there. Jay-Sean Wright was there at about the 45, but the pass ended up at the 35. So an overthrow of 10 yards. It'll be 4th down and 4, and here comes another Bronco punt.
Well, I think on all the previous punts, what you've seen are low snaps, and if that continues, I would think Morningside might get after him with some pressure and a block punt scheme and maybe get one here.
Well, looks like 10 are lined up on the formation. The only one deep is the return man, Payne. Morningside doesn't quite bring the rush we thought, and they get a good spiraling kickoff. Backs Michael Payne up inside the 30. Takes it out, middle of the field, 35, trying to get a crease, but is only able to get a few positive yards up to the 39-yard line. A solid return for Payne. And it'll be 1st and 10 for the Mustangs starting at their own 39.
See, I would say that's a great return by him because, it's a low-line drive kick. And, if he doesn't catch that ball, the tail of the ball is dragging, which means it's going to bounce. And so not only does he catch the ball, but he gets vertical for about a 10, 15-yard gain. And that's a gain of 25, maybe 30 yards of hidden yardage.
Oh, and it ends up giving Morningside some pretty decent field position. 1st and 10 of the 39. Here's Dolinchek. 2 receivers, right, 1 left. Motions Michael Payne across the formation. Tosses it to him on a jet sweep, trying to get some positive yardage, left numbers. And there's a flag on the play as Michael Payne gets up to the 40. Pickup of a yard. But this one is probably coming back for a hold on the outside.
Well, as soon as that motion came into play and they made the jet sweep look, you saw that safety for Hastings trigger down immediately, and like we talked about earlier, they have to do that in order to defend the run play, and when you do that, you're going to open up the deep middle of the field because you don't have safety help anymore.
That's why Morningside was able to find Austin Johnson so easier earlier today for about a 70-plus yard touchdown reception. This flag going on the Mustangs. And it'll be a 10-yard penalty from the original spot of the football, and they'll back him up all the way to the 29-yard line and set up 1st down and 20. Morningside finds themselves behind the chains for really, truly the first time here today. We'll see how they get themselves out of it with 8:30 to play in the half. Dolinchek has a receiver on either side. Handoff up the middle. It's Ryan Cole. He's across the 30 to the 35-yard line, up to the 38, and he gets a lot of that penalty back. Gain of 9 is going to bring up 2nd and 11. 42-7, Morningside leading Hastings here on the People's Bank scoreboard. here still before the first half of the contest. We're going to have the M Club Hall of Famers get announced here at halftime of this contest, and we'll introduce them to you as well. We'll also break down the stats, and Stephen Cutler will have a report on what Coach Ryan says heading into the locker room. 2nd and 11, 3 receivers left, 1 right. Dolencheck play action to Freeberg, throws a screen pass left side. It is dropped by Zach Norton and incomplete. Going to set up 3rd and 11 for the Mustangs.
Yeah, that's a hash screen again. Morningside runs so often and so well, and to be honest with you, it looked like it was set up again. They were blocking well on the perimeter, and had he caught the ball, he was able to get some yards for it.
And instead, and that's why I think Zach Norton slammed his hand on the football as well. He was frustrated because he knew he was going to be able to get a nice gain. 3rd and 11 here for Morningside from their own 38. 3 receivers left, single receiver right, and Zach Norton. Dolencheck tries a hard count, looks over to the sideline, now takes a snap. 3-step drop, stands tall in a good pocket. Pass over the middle, it's caught. Austin Johnson's across midfield. He's down into Bronco territory at the 48. He got 14 on that completion, and it's first down for Morningside.
They are so good at recognizing the coverage and attacking the weakness of each coverage.
1st and 10 for the Bronco 48. They go quickly. Pass right side. Caught by Simmons. Up the right numbers across the 40. And he's deeper into Bronco territory at the 38. Gain of 10 and another first down. Now, Morningside wants to hurry things up offensively. The chain's not even set yet. And they'll move some receivers around in the formation. Handoff up the middle. Bryson Freeberg trying to drag defenders across the line of scrimmage. And he does across the 35 to the 34. Gain of 4. It'll be 2nd and 6.
That's a 4-yard run with 4 yards of after contact yards. I mean, he was hit on the line of scrimmage, and he just kept his feet going and was able to pick up positive yards.
So with under 7 minutes to go in the first half, the Mustangs up 42-7 on the People's Bank scoreboard. They've got 2nd and 6 up next from the Bronco 34. Morningside, 2 receivers right, tight end right, and a receiver left. Dolencheck fakes the give to K.J. Williams this time. Stands tall in the pocket. Lobs it up to the end zone. Right in the sideline. It's caught by Michael Payne for touchdown number 7 of the day. Joe Dolencheck becomes the 4th Mustang quarterback to throw 7 touchdowns in a single game. And it puts Morningside up 48-7 on the People's Bank scoreboard.
Not only has he thrown 7 touchdowns in a game, but he's thrown 7 touchdowns and a half.
Right.
I mean, the first half.
In the first 24 minutes, not even 24 minutes.
And they're going to have two more possessions at least, if not 3.
All right, a point after try here for Chase Carter as the Mustangs try and go up by 42. McElligot's spot and Carter's kick all equals the point after, 49-7. Morningside on top, 6:35 to play in the first half. Joe Dolencheck ties a single game Mustang record with 7 passing touchdowns in this contest. We'll take a break, come back with more Mustang football in 30 seconds here on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. We welcome you back here to Elwood Olson Stadium in Sioux City. Alongside Bob Goodfin, I'm Daniel Versteeg, getting a special guest up into the booth as well. That's awesome. Stephen Cutler's down on the sideline. We'll check in with Stephen here in just a moment. It is 49-7, Morningside on top of Hastings here on the People's Bank scoreboard. 6:35 left to play in the first half as Joe Dolencheck ties a single-game Mustang record with 7 touchdown passes today. High right-footed end-over-end kick is fielded by Ben Steffens, fielded inside the 20-yard line by Hastings. They do so with a fair catch, and so it'll be brought out to the 25. Let's check in with Stephen Cutler, the 3rd member of our crew. He's down on the sideline for us. Stephen, what kind of things have you been seeing and hearing down there?
Well, that last drive went to the running game a little bit more, and that just made him bite even harder on that play-action pass for that touchdown there. And it's just nice to see him use the run, even though it's been inconsistent this year, to set up other parts of the offense.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Stephen, for that analysis down there, being able to see things that we can't, and doing an outstanding job for us. It is first down and 10 for the Broncos from their own 25-yard line. 3 receivers line up left, 1 receiver right of John Zamora in the gun. He takes the belt high snap, 3-step drop, stands tall in the pocket, throws right sideline. Garrett Ash tiptoeing at the 47, and he made a great catch. He tiptoed inbounds at the 46-yard line, a gain of 21, and a first down for the Broncos.
That's a heck of a catch. I mean, that's a catch in the NFL. It looks like from here he got 2 feet down. But the thing I've noticed in the last 2 series is that Tubbs, Hastings' #1 receiver, has not been on the field.
No. And he came out after getting targeted earlier on in the game. He was in a couple of times, but yeah, he's been off the field. Here's first and 10 of the 46. Zamora drops to throw, stands up in the pocket, throws it deep right sideline. Garrett Ash coming back to the football. Dijon Walls couldn't haul in the pick. He bats it away though. It's incomplete, and it's 2nd and 10.
I don't know if you noticed, but down here, the Hastings put trips to our sideline here, the wide side of the field, and the #1 receiver was covered by the outside linebacker, number 21, and he did a fantastic job.
Right.
And when your linebacker can cover the #1 receiver, that's not a very good scenario for the offense.
Yeah, that's Jalen Portis, 6'1", 220-pound senior linebacker who's done everything for the Mustangs here since transferring to Morningside. And boy, what an addition he's been to this program. 2nd and 10 for the 46. Zamora with a delay handoff up the middle. Brett Simonson gets across midfield, tripping across the 49 to the 48. It's a gain of 6. It'll be 3rd and 4. 5:45 and counting to play in the first half of this contest. Morningside leads Hastings College 49-7 here on the People's Bank scoreboard. Story of the contest, Joe Dolenchek's 7 touchdown passes, tying a single-game Mustang record with 3 other Morningside quarterbacks. One of them did it against Hastings back in 2008. Here's 3rd down and 4 for the Broncos from the Mustang 48. 2 receivers on either side of John Zamora, lining up in the gun. Helmet high snap, 3-step drop, stands tall in the pocket, passes over the middle, and he throws wide of Jay Sean Wright and incomplete. It's 4th down and 4. Oh, but there's a flag back in the backfield. I think we're going to get a roughing the passer call. Yep, they are going to get roughing the passer on the Mustangs. 15-yard penalty for the Broncos. Will move them up to the 33, and will give them a fresh set of downs. So Morningside gives up the penalty and ends up giving Hastings a fresh set of downs. That's probably the more important part of that.
Well, you don't like the penalty, but there are times defensively that if you can hit the quarterback, it's all kind of worth it sometimes.
Here we go. It is 1st and 10 for the Broncos from the Morningside 33. Dumping it off into the backfield on the screen. Brett Simonson makes the catch, gets up the sideline after a broken tackle. He gets 2 yards to the 31. 2 hard-earned yards. It'll be 2nd down and 8.
What you really see is 2 different approaches in the passing game. Hastings likes to throw the ball vertically, and meaning they like to throw the ball downfield, where Morningside mixes it up, where they'll throw a myriad of screens and a ton of quick game stuff, and you don't see a lot of that out of Hastings, even though you saw it right there.
2nd down and 8 for the Broncos from the Mustang 31-yard line. 4 receivers line up left now, 1 right. Zamora with an empty backfield again. The Mustangs bring 4. Zamora dumps it off over the middle to the check down. Brett Simonson gets across the 30 to the 27. He's got 4 to make it 3rd down and 4.
Yeah, like you said, they lined up in quads, meaning they put 4 receivers to the wide side of the field, and number 4, the most inside receiver, just ran shallow cross. And I know that looks like a quick game passing scheme, but it's really not. It's still a drop back scheme where you just throw to the underneath receiver.
Well, it brings up 3rd and 4, a little bit more manageable 3rd down scenario for the Broncos. For the Mustang 27, 2 receivers on either side. Zamora lines up in the gun, handoff up the middle. Brett Simonson, he's got a hole across the 25 and a 1st down up to the 23-yard line. He got 4 when he needed it, and the Broncos will have 1st and 10.
Simonson really did a good job of making the first guy miss, and he made him miss with a jump cut, and it takes a pretty good athlete to do that.
Broncos get a fresh set of downs. I think their goal is just to keep Morningside from getting the football here before halftime and see if maybe Hastings can tack on a couple more points anyway. 5 receiver look. Zamora empties the backfield. 1st and 10 for the Mustang 23. He drops back to pass, takes a shot to the end zone, right corner. Nobody's there. Over diving for it. Drew Bessie had it fall in and out of his hands and incomplete. Going to bring up 2nd down and 10.
I think that ball hit him right in the hands, and I think you saw the disadvantage of having
the
the big
cast.
cast on his hand.
Exactly.
Yep.
When you say a guy's got hands of steel, that literally is pretty much like hands of steel there.
Hands of cast.
Hands of cast, exactly. And it'll be 2nd down and 10 for the Broncos as they get a gift. Looked like Zamora would throw an interception there, but Bessie's cast probably prevented him from hauling it in. 2 receivers on either side. Zamora hands it off up the middle to Antoine Murphy, I believe the backup running back in there for that carry. He's got a yard to the 22 to set up 3rd down and 9.
That's kind of a different wrinkle to the inside zone read where the quarterback catches the ball and he shuffles straight to the line of scrimmage, reading the defensive end and handing it off. It becomes more like just a simple old dive play when you're under center at that point.
So 3rd and 9 for the Broncos from the Mustang 22, trying to keep the drive going and see if they can get into the end zone. 2 receivers on either side. Zamora, 3-step drop, rolls right, chased by Schulke. He evades him, throws while getting hit to the right sideline. And Garrett Ash couldn't haul it in. He got his left hand on the football, but couldn't quite bring it into his chest. The incompletion sets up 4th and 9.
That's really good coverage in the secondary by the linebackers and the secondary guys, because at the top of his drop, in other words, when he was supposed to throw the ball, they were covered, and that made him shuffle up. And then at that point, the pressure got to him. So that's really good coverage.
Now it's 4th and 9, and the Broncos want to try and get into the end zone, so they're going for it. 5 receivers for Zamora by himself in the gun. Mustangs rush 4. Zamora takes a shot to the left sideline for the end zone, and we're going to get a flag. Ethan Wilborn there to try and haul in the pass. John Andreessen shoved him down to the ground, and that'll be pass interference, and Hastings is going to get a 1st down off of this and keep the drive going.
Yeah, Zamora really missed Jay Sean White in the end zone. They lined White that time up in the number 3 spot, and he ran just a skinny little post route, and he was wide open in the end zone.
So pass interference is called on John Andreessen once again. Be half the distance to the goal. Well, they give him 15 yards on the penalty. 1st down and goal here for Hastings at the 7.
And we've yet to see Tubbs back on the field for the last 3 series.
And no Torian Tubbs. Again, the top receiver here this season for Hastings. The favorite target, most yards, and 2nd most touchdowns on the season for the Broncos. Now it's 1st and goal. They motion Jay Sean right, toss it to him, jet sweep right side. The Mustangs trying to string it out, and they do. Brody Nelson beat his blocker on the outside and brings down right for a loss of 4 to the 11, and it'll be 2nd and goal.
Yeah, that time they ran the jet sweep to right into the boundary, and Morningside just has them outnumbered over there, and it just forces him to run sideways.
So 2nd and goal for the Broncos. They're doing a good job of taking some time off the clock. 2:20 to play in the half. The Mustangs up 49-7 over Hastings here on the People's Bank scoreboard. And coming up at halftime, they'll announce the M Club Hall of Famers, and we'll announce those to you as well. Zamora, 2nd and goal from the 11. Takes a snap, low snap, drops to throw out of the gun, takes a shot right corner of the end zone and overthrows. Garrett Esch, and incomplete. It'll be 3rd down and goal.
Hastings got an empty backfield there, and they put a bunch trip set to the boundary and a bunch 2 receiver set to the field, and they ran right on a little shallow cross, and man, he was wide open. If they'd thrown him the ball, he probably would have scored. I think right now, if I'm Zamora, I'm going to know where Wright is. I think he's your playmaker right now, and I think you got to get him the ball.
Yeah, you do. He's been quick, and he's been able to evade some tacklers here in the last few plays. 3rd and goal from the 11. As a low snap is to Zamora, he looks to the left side and just spiked his throw. Incomplete. I'm not sure who he's trying to throw to on that left side of the field. Instead, it'll be 4th and goal. And, well, the Broncos are going to try and salvage 3 points out of this drive with a field goal.
Yeah, I'm not sure who he's throwing to either because there's nobody literally there. I mean, and I was watching the route scheme. Did he get hit? Or
it didn't look like it. Maybe on his follow-through, but yeah, no, he did not go to the ground. Now a field goal here for Jason Bockel back at the 20 or 8 at the 18. Going to be a 28-yard field goal. High snap. Zamora gets it down. Bockel's right-footed boot sails through the uprights and good. 49-10, Morningside leads. Hastings gets into double digits with 1:53 to play in the first half of the contest. We'll take a 30-second break. Back with more Mustang football after this on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS Sioux City. We welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium here in Sioux City. Alongside Bob Goodfin, I'm Daniel Verstag. Stephen Cutler's down on the sideline, and we'll check in with Stephen here in just a moment. Minute 53 to play in the first half. Top-ranked Morningside leads Hastings 49-10 here on the People's Bank scoreboard. Broncos ready to kick this one away after a 28-yard field goal booted through by Jason Bockel, and now the Mustangs will look to see if they can get a run back on this kickoff. Don't get very many kickoff returns all season, for that matter. We'll see what they can come up with here after the ball gets blown off the tee. Again, coming up at halftime, the Club Hall of Famers will be announced, and we'll announce those to you as well at halftime along with the ceremony and see who's getting inducted. I know there's one football player that's getting inducted to the Club Hall of Fame, and again, we'll run all that down for you coming up at halftime, as well as scores around the GPAC. Jason Bockel with a short right-footed pooch kick. This one's fielded by the Mustangs. It's fumbled at the 27-yard line. Diving on it is Colton Dreeth. He's on it at the 25, and Morningside will start there with first down and 10. Let's check in with a third member of our crew, Stephen Cutler, down on the sideline. Stephen, what are you seeing down there?
Well, we've been talking about Tubbs today. Hasn't received a lot of targets, but also just hasn't been playing these last few drives. I found him on the sideline. He's not receiving any medical attention. He's got his helmet on, so I'm not really sure what the situation is right now. But, yeah, he hasn't been in the game for the last drive or so.
Oh, hey, thanks for checking in on that for us, Stephen. And, yeah, it's kind of a question mark right now because he's, like you mentioned and like we've been talking about throughout the broadcast, the top guy for the Broncos, but he hasn't been out there. Dalenchek lines up on first and 10 at the 25-yard line. He throws the out route right, or a curl route right side. Johnson makes the catch up the right numbers across the 35. He's down to the 37, gains 12 and a first down.
There are many glaring differences in these two teams, and the receivers versus the DBs is one of them. But the other one's a kicking game, and I'll come back to that in a little bit.
Snap to Dalenchek, throws right sideline, throws wide of Johnson, incomplete. Second and 10.
If you look at every time Morningside kicks off, and they've kicked off with the wind more times than not, of course, but they've kicked off into the wind. Every time Hastings started the ball at the 25 or closer to their own goal line, and Hastings, they have a hard time kicking the ball off, and when they do, it only gets to about the 30-yard line, and you also see the difference in the punting game.
Hand off right side, and this going to Bryson Freeberg. He gets big yardage up to the 50-yard line to the Bronco 49. He's got 14 and a first down. Morningside's trying to go quickly. Joe Dalenchek's looking for a single-game passing touchdown record with one more. First and 10 from the Bronco 49. Dalenchek hands it off up the middle. Freeberg gets more positive yardage in between the seams across the 45 to the 42. He's got 7 to set up second and 3. So minute 15 left in the half. 49-10 Morningside on the People's Bank scoreboard. 3 receivers right, 1 left. Dalenchek, chest high snap, play action. Throws it right side, caught by Jack Sievert, 35, up the seam to the 30. He's down to the 28. It'll be first and 10.
Well, it's obvious that Hastings can't cover the Morningside receivers man-to-man, and they can't cover them around the field. And so they're giving them all kinds of cushions, and Morningside's just taking advantage of that and throwing simple hitches.
Dalenchek drops to throw on first and 10 from the 28. Stands tall in the pocket. Pass over the middle. Wide open Austin Johnson inside the 5. He's into the end zone for a Mustang touchdown and for a Mustang record. Joe Dalenchek becomes the first quarterback in the history of Morningside football to throw 8 touchdown passes in a single game. And Morningside leads Hastings 55-10 on the People's Bank scoreboard.
And I think we made the comment that they're on pace to set an NAIA passing record, and if they want to, they'll continue to do that because they got to be pushing 450, 500 yards of passing right now.
Well, right now they have 436 yards passing. Joe Dalenchek is 23 of 31 for 8 touchdown passes. Again, that's a new single-game Mustang record as the point after by Chase Carter is through the uprights and good. 56-10. Morningside leads Hastings with 50. Wait, hang on. We're going to have maybe a re-kick here, as it looks like there's a flag thrown on the far side of the field. So we'll hold everything for just a moment. Now it's going to be on the Broncos. So Morningside will decline it. They'll take the kick, and it's 56-10. Morningside leads Hastings. 50 seconds before half. Take a short 30-second break. Back with more Mustang football after this on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. We welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium here in Sioux City alongside Bob Goodfin. I'm Daniel Versteg. Stephen Cutler's down on the sideline. Coming up at halftime, Stephen will have a report after he talks with Coach Steve Ryan heading into the locker room and, well, seeing what the Mustangs can do in the final 30 minutes of this game. It's a high right-footed end-over-end kick. And Antoine Murphy fields it to the 18. He takes it down middle of the field to the 25. And that's all he gets. Ball came out after all of that, and there's a lot of pushing and shoving after the play was over. Hastings will start at their own 25-yard line. And, well, Bob, this is kind of one of these, I guess, damned if you do, damned if you don't. I mean, if you take a knee here and take it in the locker room, you just give Morningside an extra possession. But you don't want to, throw an interception or something like this, too, because Morningside can get the ball back and get more points here in the second quarter. And it's just kind of one of those scenarios. You're in between a rock and a hard place. Hastings is going to line up to try and make something happen here to end the second quarter. 44 seconds left in quarter number 2. Low snap. Zamora keeps it up the middle, and he's got positive yardage up to the 27. It's a gain of 2. Brings up 2nd and 8, and the clock will start running. They do not have to snap it before halftime if they don't want to. Game clock, was below the play clock. I think they reset it up to 25. And they will not start the play clock, so they can take this one into the halftime break should they elect to. Play clock is actually not running at all, but Zamora drops to throw. He throws it toward the right sideline, incomplete, overthrowing his target. That's going to stop the clock with 12 seconds left in the half, and a 3rd down and 8 upcoming.
The outside linebacker for Morningside, number 21, Portis, we know he's a physical player. I mean, he brings a different level of physicality to the defense, but what's really impressive today is his pass coverage skills. I mean, he covered the number 3 receiver in the flat, and he was all over him.
Well, here it goes. 3rd down and 8 for the Broncos from their own 27-yard line. 12 seconds to go in the half. Zamora hands off up the middle. Simonson bounces off tackle right side. He's across the 30 to the 31. It's a gain of 4. And it'll be 4th down, but the Broncos don't care. They are taking this into the locker room, and our score heading into the halftime break is Morningside 56, Hastings 10. We've already got a new single-game program record. Joe Dolenchek throws 8 touchdown passes in the first half and breaks a single-game record for the Mustangs. When we come back, we'll break down the first half for you, chat about it a little bit. We'll have a report from Stephen Cutler. He's going to talk with Coach Ryan on his way into the locker room and tell us what he told Stephen. That's all coming up at halftime. And the M Club Hall of Famers. We'll run those down for you as well. We'll be back in 4 minutes with our halftime coverage here on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. We welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium here in Sioux City. Alongside Bob Goodfin, I'm Daniel Versteg. Stephen Cutler's down on the sideline. It is halftime in Morningside, the #1 team in the country. Well, they are showing why and then some. They lead Hastings 56-10 here on the People's Bank scoreboard. And a new program record here in place as Morningside fifth-year senior quarterback Joe Dolenchek throws 8 touchdown passes. He goes 23 of 31 for 436 yards and 8 touchdowns. The 8 passing touchdowns are a new program record. And all right, Bob, are we ready to play a little trivia?
Okay.
I haven't prepared you for this. I can promise you that. Can you name the 3 other quarterbacks who threw 7 touchdowns in a game in program history?
Well, I'm going to guess Trent Solzma.
Trent Solzma did it once in 2018 against Midland. And these ones might be a little tricky.
I'm going to go back to the North Central days, and if you tell me his name, I'll.
Well, there is no North Central.
Okay.
So
it's all NAIA?
It's all NAIA, yep. How about the one right before Trent? The quarterback right before Trent Solzma. Mr. Ryan Kasdorf. 2 games with 7 touchdowns.
Is he the quarterback who tore his knee up and missed a playoff game?
Yeah, and that game that you guys froze outside.
Yes, I was gonna say him, but I couldn't remember his name.
That Curtis made you guys go down to Des Moines and stand outside.
Not those guys, me. Not. But,
right, that's right.
And I don't think Craig Foby did.
Craig Foby didn't. No,
Yep.
This guy did it twice in 2008. Actually, within a month of each other in 2008. Once against Hastings in 2008. Guy by the name of Ian Gilworth.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's not.
Remember him.
He's not all up and down the career record books. He doesn't get maybe that kind of accolades, but he did have an outstanding 2008 season.
They've had 4 quarterbacks throw 7 touchdowns in a game.
Yep, 7 or more now,
yes.
I guess.
Yep.
That's impressive. And, of course, Joe now with 8 today, setting the new single-game Mustang record. They just got done announcing the M Club Hall of Famers, and we thought we should bring those to you here today. First of all was Kelly Ashby, a 1990 graduate of the M Club Hall of Fame. Played 3 sports here at Morningside. She played softball, volleyball, and basketball. She was Iokota All-Conference Honors in softball, first team All-District in softball, and then part of conference championship teams in softball and volleyball in '88. And then she was part of that 1990 softball team that transitioned to the North Central Conference when they started, administering softball in the league. Another M Club Hall of Famer, Cassie Cheever, 2008 grad, started for 4 years in her role as a middle blocker for the Mustang volleyball team. She's the first Mustang volleyball player in history to be named first or second team All-Conference by the Great Plains Athletic Conference in 2004 and 2005, and then was first team in 2006 and 2007, and then that 2007 volleyball team winning the postseason tournament title in the league. So Cassie Cheever also being named to the M Club Hall of Fame. And now the football player being inducted in the Hall of Fame here for Morningside is Bo Kildo, 2010 graduate, standout wide receiver and return man for the Mustangs. He was named first-team All-League in the conference in 07, 08, and 09. He was also first-team All-Conference punt returner in 2 of those years. And he was also an All-American twice in 2008 and 2009. And I know when Connor Niles was chasing some of the receiving records down, we saw Bo's name repeatedly up and down those receiving record books. John Sievert, a 2013 grad of Morningside. He was Morningside's second national champion in wrestling behind current head coach Jake Stevenson, claiming the NAIA title in the 197-pound weight class in 2013. He was named Wrestler of the Year and first-team All-Conference of the GPAC, and he was second-team All-Conference in 11 and 12, All-American in 2013. So John Sievert also being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And then this one, very recently, Morningside longtime sports information director Dave Rebstock, who passed away in 2018. His tenure at the institution, of course, he was part of the move to the NAIA, covering Morningside as a Division II school and moving them to the NAIA, and a national leader in so many sports. He was a newspaper reporter. He was up in Lamar's for a number of years, and he was actually the SID at Westmar before they dropped sports as well. But he was immortalized, and he helped cover events so well, ranging from the women's basketball national championships to the start of the men's volleyball program, and again, that transition to the NAIA level. And, of course, his lasting legacy is that the GPAC SID of the Year Award is named after Dave Rebstock. It is the Dave Rebstock SID of the Year Award. So Dave Rebstock posthumously inducted in the M Club Hall of Fame. And finally, Kelly Anderson, a 1980 grad, is the 2022 Alumni Coach of the Year, girls basketball coach at Ballard High School here in Iowa. He was the 2021, his Ballard Bombers 2021 state champions in Class 4A, and they were runners-up in 2022 this past winter. Anderson has been the head coach of the Bombers for a decade and has seen the program become a powerhouse in his 20 years of coaching at different levels in the district. So again, the 6 members recognized by the M Club Hall of Fame: Kelly Ashby, graduate of 1990, Cassie Cheever of 2008, Bo Kildo of 2010, John Sievert, a class of 2013, Dave Rebstock, longtime SID, and Kelly Anderson, the Alumni Coach of the Year, being honored here at the M Club Hall of Fame. It is halftime, and Morningside leads Hastings 56-10. Before we break down all the numbers, let's see if we can find the third member of our crew down on the sideline. That is Stephen Cutler. He got a chance to talk to Coach Ryan as he was going into the locker room for halftime, and hopefully he's got a report for us to see what Coach Ryan had to say. Stephen, what did Coach Ryan tell you?
Well, the thing that he told me going out, of course he's very happy with the start, but they've been some slow starts these past few weeks for the Mustangs, and he was really happy that they were able to get off to a good start today, have some good energy. He hopes that stays going into the second half, of course, but really pleased with the Mustangs starting well today.
Well, absolutely. Thank you very much, Stephen. And that was something Bobby talked about in the pregame to me as well, is that we got to be able to start strong because, last week was kind of a disappointment being down by 2 at half. They were slow out of the gates. I know in the first half, week 1 against Northwestern. Just some of these games at Briar Cliff, they were down 14-3 right out of the get-go. I think for him, it's not so much the lopsided score, but the fact that Morningside was really strong out of the gate. That's got to be really, really positive for Coach Ryan after harping on it for so long.
Well, I think you see a different game plan approach. I think starting in the second half of the Northwestern game and the second half, no, not so much the Dordt game, but definitely the second half of Briar Cliff and Midland, you just said, let's forget about establishing the run. Let's just come out and do what we do best, and that's throw the ball, put the ball in your best player's hands, and that's Joe Dolenchek. And needless to say, he's got 8 touchdown passes in the first half, so that's what they did today. And You know, I'd like to make comment about the Hall of Fame. You know,
Sure.
of all the people in the Morningside Hall of Fame, and I didn't go to Morningside, so I'm not pretending to know this, but nobody's more fitting and deserving than Dave Rebstock.
Yes.
I mean, Rebby, as his friends called him, and you know, he was he was the biggest Morningside fan I know,
100%.
next to you, Daniel. And you know,
Well, that's a big honor.
yes,
I
it
think
is.
that,
Yeah, Kelly Ashby is her mom and dad live across the street from me. Her dad has passed on, but Kelly was a great athlete at East and at Morningside, and she's got a young nephew named Wyatt Mounts who's going to be
Yes.
a great high school football coach
with the East High football
Yes.
program. Yeah.
Yep.
No,
So
it's an outstanding class of well-deserving alumni, and of course, Rebby not an alumni of Morningside, but he practically covered the school like he was an alumni. And I got the chance, thankfully, to work with him just my freshman year here at Morningside, and unfortunately, I didn't get the long-time ability to work with him like so many media members here in this area. But we know we miss Rebby, we miss his energy for Morningside athletics, and boy, I think the toughest part of all of that was the national championship came right away after he passed away. I think he would have been, like you said, the happiest person on the planet outside of Coach Ryan, maybe, to see Morningside after seeing them struggle in D2 early on, and then seeing Coach Ryan come up and lead the program to where it is now today. He would have been just all smiles for as long as he could be.
well, I'm sure he was. I mean, that's
Yes.
so.
Yeah, no, Rebby, a well-deserved honor into the M Club Hall of Fame, and again, an outstanding class for this year's Morningside Hall of Fame members. This first half of the contest, Morningside leads Hastings 56-10. Let's break it down for you. We won't go over the drive charts because it's just all touchdown passes. That's pretty much all it is. John Zamora had a touchdown pass for Hastings, but again, 8 touchdown passes for Joe Dolacek. Some of the team numbers here in the contest, Morningside 494 yards of total offense. They are averaging, I want to make sure I get this right on the nose if I can, yards per play. Morningside's averaging 11 yards a play. They're averaging a first down every single play. That is ridiculous. And the Mustangs have been outstanding. They've been throwing the ball well, of course, 436 passing yards to just 58 rushing. But I think at this point, Bob, you know, obviously Coach Ryan wants to be able to have a run game come, say, the postseason. But as of right now, I mean, the way Joe Dolacek's throwing the football, and I get it's against, you know, some of the not the toughest teams in the conference, but if he's throwing the ball as well as he is right now come postseason time, I mean, is the running game that big a deal at that point? I mean, if you can just throw it like this, you're pretty well set.
Well, you know, I guess I agree with you to some extent, but you know, someday you might hit a bad weather day.
Sure.
And you know, it might be a cold, windy day, and the wind affects the passing game more than moisture does. Mm-hmm. But if you look and you say, okay, let's identify who are Morningside's players on offense. Well, one, you start with Dolacek, but then you just spread it out through the receivers.
Right.
And I mean, so their receivers are so wide open today.
They are incredibly open.
I mean, it almost looks like 7-on-7 passing league is what it looks like.
It looks like you put the defense out there and you say, okay, back off enough so that they don't, you know, hit a guy or catch him defenselessly. I mean, they're giving cushion of 5, 10. I think I saw 15 yards of separation on one of those plays, Bob.
Well, I think you're consistently seeing the corners off cushion-wise 7 to 8 yards, and what you saw in the second quarter was Morningside just running their pre-snap RPO system where they just read the coverage, and yes, it's an RPO, but it's pre-snap. You're just throwing the hitch into the boundary, or you're throwing the out into the boundary, and I mean, it's at this point you're just taking candy from a baby right now.
Absolutely, and Hastings, unfortunately, taking the bad role in all of that. 161 yards of total offense, 141 through the air, 20 on the ground for the Broncos. Some of the individual numbers here in the contest, Joe Dolacek, of course, 23 of 31 passing, 436 passing yards, 8 passing touchdowns. It's a new Mustang single-game record. He's got 30 more minutes to do something with it. I don't know if we're even going to see him in the second half, but he's got a chance to tack on more. Through the air, Austin Johnson, 11 catches, 258 yards, and 4 receiving touchdowns. He's averaging 23.5 yards a catch. Zach Norton, 4 catches, 80 yards, 2 scores. Josh Simmons, 5 catches, 43 yards and a touchdown. And Michael Payne, 2 catches for 42 yards and a touchdown. On the defensive side, Morningside is led in tackles by Josh Miller. He's got 6, 2 tackles for loss for Jalen Portis, a sack for Jonah Kolbaum. He also forced a fumble in there. For Hastings, John Zamora, 14 of 34, passing for 141 yards and a touchdown. Through the air, Jay Sean Wright, 5 catches, 40 yards and a touchdown, and 2 catches, 55 yards for Garrett Esch. Defensively for the Broncos, they are led in tackles by Carlo Terrell, Caden Egger, and Jaden Roberts with 4 tackles apiece. And, of course, Kobe Brandenburg has 6 tackles leading the way for the Broncos here today as Morningside is destroying Hastings 56-10 here on the People's Bank scoreboard. Let's get a short 1-minute break. We'll come back and take a look at scores around the Great Plains Athletic Conference when we return on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS Sioux City. We welcome you back to our halftime coverage here from Elwood Olson Stadium in Sioux City. Alongside Bob Goodvin, I'm Daniel Versteeg. Stephen Cutler's down on the sideline. We'll take a look at halftime scores around the Great Plains Athletic Conference. Morningside leads Hastings 56-10 here. Again, a new single-game Mustang record. Joe Dolenchek, 8 passing touchdowns. In Seward, Nebraska, 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter there. Concordia leads Jamestown 30-15. Of course, a lot of these games are going to be further along due to the fact we started at 1:30. This was a final from last night. Dort beat Mount Marty 44-29. The defenders scored 28 points in the second quarter and rolled onto a victory from there as Dort tries to keep their stride at the top half of the conference. Other scores around the league. Doane leads Dakota Wesleyan close. The Tigers looking for their first win of the season. Dakota Wesleyan Tigers looking for their first win of the season. 16-13 Doane, 10-12 left in the fourth quarter there. And here in Sioux City, Midland leads Briarcliff big time, 49-14 early in the fourth quarter. The kickoff by Jason Bockel ends up in the end zone for a touchback, and Morningside will start at their own 25-yard line as the Mustangs come out onto the field. Of course, Joe's already got the single-game touchdown passing record with 8 on the contest. Austin Johnson, 258 receiving yards. He needs 50 more receptions or 50 more receiving yards, I should say, for a single-game record, and he's already become the 10th Mustang receiver in program history to receive, or a 10th game, I should say, in program history to haul in 4 touchdown receptions in a single game. That's the 10th time anybody's done it in the history of Morningside football. Joe Dolenchek's out there on 1st and 10 from the 25. He throws a screen pass right side. Zach Norton makes the catch, and he loses a yard back to the 24. And it'll be 2nd down and 11 for Morningside. So not a great start for the Mustangs on this drive, but again, it's early in the second half. You want to get things rolling right away and see what Morningside can come up with. Of course, Joe's also chasing down the single-game passing yards record. He's already got the passing touchdowns record here for Morningside. Handoff up the middle. This is Ryan Cole on 2nd and 11. He breaks free across the 30, breaking tackles down to the 33-yard line. The 32 they give him. It's 8 yards, sets up 3rd and 3.
You know who we haven't seen on the field today is Caleb Schwigert.
That's right. I saw him throwing around there at halftime. Handoff to Cole on 3rd and 2. He gets stood up. No gain at the 33-yard line. It'll be 4th and 2. And Morningside's going to elect to punt this. The Mustangs go 3 and out to start the second half. And Ryan Cole comes up a little limpy on the play. gingerly jogging over to the sideline. We'll see if that ends up coming back later on and seeing if Ryan Cole can maybe stay in the game, or if that's probably going to be the only thing they need to say, yeah, you're going to be done the rest of today. Here's a punt from Justin McElligott after the Mustangs go 3 and out to start the contest. Take some time off the clock. It's a low snap. McElligott fields it on the first hop, and a high, wobbling right-footed punt is come up and fielded by Garrett Ash. He fair catches it at the 39-yard line, and the Broncos will start there with 1st and 10.
You know, Daniel, one of the things we do, we get caught up in giving the offense all the credit, and,
right.
Rightly so. I mean, they're putting up, like you said, Madden-like numbers, but you gotta tip your hat to the Morningside defense. They're playing outstandingly well, and what they do is they give you a different look each time, not so much with their front, but with their coverage, and I just think it's a compliment to their coaching staff and their players to be able to do that.
Oh, there's another example of it. Cooper Von Senkern brings down Simonson for a loss of 1 to the 38, 2nd down and 11. And, of course, the coaching staff consisting of guys who have been here for so long, in Casey Jacobson and Nathan Turner, the co-defensive coordinators for the Mustangs. Seen more defensive football and know more things about defensive football than I could ever learn about the entire sport of football. And that's why they have been so successful. 2nd and 11. Zamora drops to throw, passes right, numbers. It's caught. That's Torian Tubbs with his first catch of the ball game. He's down to the 46, just short of the marker. And it'll bring up 3rd and 3.
Well, you talk about the words escaping me, but Casey Jacobson's been with Morningside since 2004.
Right.
And the continuity among the defensive
longevity
staff,
too, yeah.
And, that's amazing.
Here's 3rd down and 3 for the Broncos from the 46. 12:30 left in the third. As Zamora lines up 3 receivers left and 1 right. Chest high snap, drops to throw, stands up in the pocket. He's got some time, tries to keep, and goes down at the 42. Cooper Von Senkern brings him down for a sack. Loss of 4, going to set up 4th down and long, and the punting unit comes out. So a couple of 3 and outs for both teams to start the second half of this ball game, and Jason Bockel will go out once again to punt it away. This is one of those guys that you don't want to see if you're a Hastings fan, but you've seen him 6 times punt the football now. Under 12 minutes to go in the third quarter. Bockel takes a snap at his chest. High right-footed, spiraling kick, side over side. Fielded the 25 off a bounce, rolls down to the 10. Payne picks it up at the 7. He takes it out to the left numbers to the 10, to the 15-20. He gets a crease to the 25, trying to break past another lane. 30-35, and Michael Payne turns what could have been a terrible field position for the Mustangs into an outstanding return to the 35. And the Mustangs will have 1st down from the 35.
Well, he didn't catch the punt in the air, but he caught it on the second bounce. And you're right, that ball was probably going to get downed inside the 5-yard line. And now they have the ball out at the 35-yard line. So, again, that's 30 yards of hidden yards that, the average person doesn't see and understand.
56-10, Morningside on top. Joe Dowling checks back out there on 1st and 10 of the 35. Handoff up the middle. Ryan Cole dancing through the line. He gets across the 40 and down to the 42-yard line. Gain of 7 for Cole. It's 2nd and 3. So good to see Ryan Cole back onto the field after his last play on the last drive ended with him limping off the field. And now a Bronco is gingerly walking over to the sideline. Looks like defensive end Beasley Ehiguero is being attended to by the Bronco training staff, and they are helping him get off the field.
We talked about it during the break, but Austin Johnson's only 50 yards away from the school record in single-game reception yards, but he hasn't been on the field yet in the second half, and he's just standing there on the sideline.
All right, yeah, and it'd be nice to kind of see him get to 300 yards. Connor Niles holds the record at 307. He's the only receiver to get to 300 yards in program history. Here's Ryan Cole, handoff up the middle across the 45. He gets to the 48. It's a gain of 6 and a 1st down for Morningside. And, of course, somebody might watch this game and say, why is Joe Dolinchek and the starters out there? They're just trying to run up the score. Well, that's going to be the result. But you also got to say, hey, if they always come out at halftime, when are they going to be able to play 4 full quarters later on in the season?
Well, I think that's something we address almost every year with Morningside. When they get to the second and third round of the playoffs, or they would be able to play 4 quarters, and I think that's why you're seeing them out there right now.
Right.
I mean, and they're not running the score up; they're running the football. I mean,
right.
So
that's as well. Yeah, absolutely. Hand off Cole. He gets across midfield into Bronco territory. Keeps dragging defenders across the 45. And what a hard-earned 10 yards. Up to the 42-yard line goes Ryan Cole. It's enough for a first down. He got probably 5 of those after the initial contact. Morningside moves the chains into Bronco territory at the 42. 10-18 to play in the third quarter. Of course, if you're watching this on the Morningside video stream, be sure to check out the volleyball contest that is coming up later on tonight. The Mustangs have a big game against 18th-ranked College of St. Mary, trying to fight into the GPAC tournament. We'll have you covered from Rosenford Orange Sports Center's Alley Gym. It won't be on the radio for you radio listeners, but you can find it on InsideMustangs.com. First and 10 for the 42. Handoff up the middle. It's Ryan Cole. Flag in the middle of the play as Cole dives forward to the 35-yard line. He's got 7, but hold everything. Well, I think maybe an offensive lineman did hold everything, and so that's why this one's coming back. But again, Morningside football, this is going to be their last home game for a few weeks. We won't see the Mustangs here at Elwood Olson Stadium for 3 more weeks. Got 2 road games ahead of the Mustangs. They'll be at the University of Jamestown that Bob Goodvin is looking forward to heading up to.
I think I'm busy.
Are you busy? Okay. Well, that's all right. We'll drag some other sucker up to the contest. I think that sucker's down on the sideline for us. Stephen Cutler's going to be making that trip up to North Dakota with us. So the Mustangs take on Jamestown in North Dakota. And it'll be our first time heading to Yankton for college football. That's coming up in a couple of weeks as the Mustangs head to Crane Youngworth Field to take on the Lancers of Mount Marty. And I got to say, Bob, Mount Marty, yeah, they may have just lost yesterday. They may be just 2-4 overall, and what are they, 1-4 in the conference? But in a lot of their ball games, they have not been, destroyed or demolished. It's been closer games. They were leading Dordt to start the game last night. I think they've made an outstanding turnaround and are an incredibly improved football team.
Well, I think that's for 2 reasons. One, Joe Woodley started the program 3-4 years ago, and he has since resigned from it. But that just tells you that in his 2 years he was there, he recruited some good kids.
Right.
And they're in the same position that Morningside was in 2001, 2002, and 2003. Right. I mean, that's exactly where they're at. And look at Dordt 10 years ago or 12 years ago, whatever. And, you're not going to start a program and be competitive right away. I mean, anybody who thinks that's kind of foolish.
Especially not in a league when you have a 3-time national champion in it either. And, it's not not an easy league to try and start a football program in. But the Lancers have done a good job. They won 2 games this year. They won their first conference game, and they've been pretty competitive in some of the games they've lost. They've got the injured Bronco off of the field, and we're ready to go with first and 20 following the holding penalty. Morningside starting at their own 48 on this set of downs. Fake handoff, Cole. Dalenchek throws toward the left sideline, in and out of the hands of Michael Payne. An incomplete pass sets up 2nd and 10.
I think you're seeing that Hastings is continually giving all kinds of cushion. That the corners are almost as deep as the safeties. So they're just playing a shell type defense, trying to keep the ball in front of them. And by doing that, anything short and quick is going to be wide open.
2nd down and 20 here for the Mustangs. Handoff goes to Ryan Cole. Patient running to the right side, but he didn't have a hole open up for him. He gets back to the line of scrimmage for no gain. Sets up 3rd and 20. Yeah, Bob, if I didn't know any better by having a depth chart ahead of me, I'd look at this Bronco formation and almost say they're playing 4 high safeties. It's really kind of bizarre how deep the corners are playing. And obviously you've got now 20 yards to go, so that might be skewing how this formation is looking. But they have been playing deep all game.
They have, and when they don't, you see that Morningside takes advantage of it by hitting the middle of the field and hitting posts over the top of the safeties. So, right now, Hastings, between a rock and a hard place, they're just outmatched in the secondary, and there's not too many things you can do at that point.
Morningside just barely avoids a delay of game on 3rd and 20. Dalenchek passes over the middle. It's caught on the right seam. Michael Payne to the numbers. 40, 35. Gets stood up at the 34. He'll be short of the marker. It's a pickup of 18, and it'll be 4th down and 2 for Morningside at the Bronco 34.
Well, Payne ran a curl route right there, and if you were able to watch it develop, he made the play because he came back and caught the ball. If he would have settled in the curl area and just waited for the ball to get to him, the linebacker would have got underneath it and knocked it off. But he did a great job of coming back for the ball.
Morningside goes for it on 4th and 2 out of the pistol. Handoff Ryan Cole. He gets stood up at the 34-yard line and doesn't get there. The Bronco defense makes a stop on 4th and 2. The Mustangs turn the ball over on downs, and it is Hastings taking over 1st and 10 from the 34. Joe Dolenchek went to the sideline. He was not very happy. He was kind of looking over to his left and frustrated with how the Mustangs executed on 4th down and 2. And I guess, Bob, that's kind of where the running game is going to rear its ugly head. If you can't get 2 yards trying to run it on 4th down, that can be a problem down the stretch of the year.
Well, I think the term is you can't run the ball when they know you're going to run the ball.
Right. Here's 1st and 10. Handoff up the middle, and the Broncos go nowhere with Brett Simonson. He loses a yard to the 33. It'll be 2nd and 11.
And you're right. That is a concerning thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that will get you in time. The only thing about that is Morningside is so good at throwing the football that, I mean, if they were an average to above average throwing team, that really would be a concern. But they're so good at throwing the football that.
Look at this huddle that is formed. Stephen Cutler's right behind it. Steve Ryan, Jay Schlichty down there talking to the offensive line as a handoff goes around the left side. Simonson gets back to the original line to start down. It'll be 3rd and 10. It's not very often you see Coach Ryan come into these position meetings or coordinator meetings that they have huddled up around the bench. But with Coach Schlichty talking to the offensive line, Steve Ryan had to come in there and interject as well after that 4th down failed conversion. Here's 3rd down and 10 for the Broncos from their own 34-yard line. 7:22 to play in the third. Morningside up 56-10 on the People's Bank scoreboard. Zamora passes over the middle. Courtney Lane makes the catch across the 40, trying to fight to the 1st down. He gets to the 42, but no further. With a gain of 8, and now 4th and 2 for Hastings upcoming. And the Broncos are going to go for it here at the middle of the field. Nope, they're going to bring the punting unit out after all. So 4th and 2 for Hastings. They'll kick it with Jason Bockel.
Well, the offensive line is a unique group among the football team. I mean, I jokingly refer to them as a cult. I mean, they're very close to one another, and what they really don't like to do is have other people come in and criticize them. And I think they're probably feeling that a little bit in the run game.
What a great kick by Jason Bockel. That thing rolled down inside the 10. It rolled up along the goal line, but just barely got into the end zone for a touchback. Morningside will start at their own 20. I know Steven was kind of roaming around down on the sideline. Let's see if we can catch up with Steven a little bit. Steven, what did you hear down there as you were walking behind that lineman meeting? Were you able to catch anything for us?
Yeah, I caught a lot of frustration there. Not usually when the offense has their meetings, they're only talking with the coordinators. Coach Ryan had to come over and have a discussion with them as well there too, and there was some yelling. It was a little intense down here, to say the least, after that 4th down.
Well, thank you very much, Stephen. And you wouldn't think intensity or real big hustle in a 46-point ball game, Bob, as Morningside picks up a yard on 1st down to make 2nd and 9. But that just shows how big Morningside, views these plays still. They're up 46, sure, but they're still wanting to play solid football and make some success offensively.
Well, Coach Ryan's an offensive line coach by status.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what he grew up as, and I'm sure he's frustrated with their inability to run the ball, and when I said offensive linemen don't like to be criticized by other groups, but when the head coach walks in that circle,
sure,
they're hearing that
right.
one. So
They'll listen to Coach Ryan. And that was not a jab to Coach, of course.
No, absolutely not.
Here's 3rd and 9 after an incomplete pass. Yeah, it's I'm sure they probably hear some of the stuff said about the run game, whether it's by people in the media, parents, whatever, and they don't like that because the running game falls on their shoulders almost exclusively most of the time. Here's 3rd and 9. Dolenchek empties the backfield. 3 receivers right, 2 left. Takes the snap, throws it quick right side. Norton makes the catch, 25, trying to curl a right sideline, doesn't get to the marker. Gets only to the 26. It's a gain of 5, and it'll be 4th down and 4. And another punting scenario here for the Mustangs. Boy, Morningside's first unit offense struggling to move the football here in the second half, and we're sensing a little bit of frustration, especially from Joe Dolencheck out there.
Well, think back to the Midland game at halftime, and what did Coach Ryan say they were going to do? They're going to take shots, and that's what they're not doing right now. I mean, they're running the ball more, and they're throwing the ball short more, and part of that has to do with the shell defense that Hastings playing, but at the same time, they're just literally taking no shots at the big play.
And, of course, they could be doing that because they don't want to seem like they're running up the score or what have you. Now you're going to get a fair catch for Garrett Esch on the punt at the 45, and Hastings will take over there. 5:06 remaining in quarter number 3. Top-ranked Morningside leading Hastings 56-10 here on the People's Bank scoreboard. Coming up at the end of the ball game will be our Long Lines post-game report. Stephen Cutler is going to chat with the head coach of the Mustang football team, Coach Steve Ryan, as with a win today, he will move solely into 9th place all-time on the NAIA career coaching wins list. He will officially pass Larry Corver for 9th all-time. 213 career wins for Coach Ryan if the score holds like it is. Zamora keeps it on a design pass. He runs up the middle and picks up a big gain across the 50-yard line into Mustang territory at the 41. He's got 14 to move the chains and have 1st and 10.
When it comes to running up the score, I've been on both ends of this. Of that, and I'm not as sensitive to that as some people are.
Sure.
And I would say defense, do your job. I mean,
right.
and don't expect us to do something that we don't do. And
as Zamora hands it off to Antoine Murphy, stood up at the 40 for a gain of a yard.
If you put your second offense in and you keep running your same offense, that's what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, those kids deserve a chance to play too. I mean, so. Just because of the score, let's not handcuff those kids.
Right. Well, and especially when you bring in a second-string unit, what is okay? So Luke Johansson's warming up down here. If he comes into the ball game, what's he supposed to do? Take 3 knees every time?
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to throw the football too. As Zamora passes over the middle, that ball got deflected away of Torian Tubbs and incomplete. Trying to find the top receiver on the Bronco football team. Jalen Portis was in on the coverage. So was Dijon Walls. Be 3rd and 9.
In the baseball world, you don't tell your hitters to swing and miss when they're up by 9 runs. In the basketball world, you don't say stop scoring.
Right. You don't dribble out the clock or anything.
I mean, there are some things you do that could constitute running the score up, but running your offense is not running the score up as far as I'm concerned.
No, absolutely not. Here's 3rd down and 9 from the Mustang 40-yard line. 2 receivers right. 1 receiver left, tight end going to pass as Zamora throws over the middle, and he's got Ethan Wilborn across the 20. Inside the 15, up the left seam, and he is brought down at the Mustang 12-yard line. He's got 28, and it's 1st down for the Broncos inside the red zone.
Yeah, I think that time they caught Morningside in a shell of their own, and then they were playing all kinds of deep secondary coverage, and they just got him in the middle of the field underneath the coverage.
3:35 left in the 3rd quarter. The Mustangs up 56-10 here on the People's Bank scoreboard. 1st down and 10 for the Broncos. From the Mustang 11, John Zamora, handoff up the middle, and he's got 2 yards to Antoine Murphy, the running back. Gets to the 9, and they'll bring up 2nd down and 8. Well, again, Hastings is 5-1 right now. Probably going to fall to 5-2, 4-2 in the Great Plains Athletic Conference. The back half of their schedule real tough. They got Doane at home next week, and then they make that long 8.5-hour drive up to Jamestown and 8.5 hours back the following week. Then it's a bye. Then they are at Dordt November 5th and home against Northwestern November 12th. Handoff up the middle. That's Antoine Murphy. He's getting big yardage up across the 5 down to the 1-yard line. It is 8 yards. It'll be 1st down and goal. We've got an injured Bronco down on the field as well with 2:39 to go in quarter number 3. Morningside up 56-10. We'll take a 1-minute injury timeout. Back with more Mustang football after this on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS Sioux City. We welcome you back here to Elwood Olson Stadium in Sioux City. Alongside Bob Goodvin up in the booth, I'm Daniel Versteg. Stephen Cutler's down on the sideline. Our score, top-ranked Morningside leads Hastings 56-10. Here on the People's Bank scoreboard, 2:39 to go in quarter number 3. With the attention being focused to the player down on the field for the Broncos. He's laying flat down on his back, and we've seen him move a little bit. But Bob, this is one of those kind of scenarios. Of course, Katie Burford, the athletic trainer for Morningside, also standing over the play. And, that's not a good sight. We've got the stretcher out of the ambulance over on the far end of the field. And this might take some time to get him to a spot where they can get him off the field and resume this ball game. The last thing you want to see in a contest like this is guys getting hurt. Of course, this is an opportunity for guys to play. It's an opportunity for guys to make an impact or make their name known to their coach. They get the injured Bronco sitting up on the field right now, and they're going to get some O-linemen to help him off the field. I have to imagine anyway. It's not good when a player is lying down virtually motionless for about 2 or 3 minutes on the field.
Well, that's, as anybody involved in the game or a fan of the game, that's your biggest fear, is that someone's going to seriously get hurt. I mean, it's a violent game, and
right.
And you run the risk of that every snap of the ball. So it's a good thing to see him sitting up, and guess who comes out to help him up? His fellow offensive lineman.
Yep.
See, that's that cult
That's
I'm talking about.
Yeah,
yep.
Absolutely. They are a tight-knit band of brothers. As that is, I believe, Oliver Cushman, the junior left guard that's being helped off the field by his teammates. They got Rafe Ruppert to help him off of the field, and as well as another backup offensive lineman in Dale Gomez, as Hastings now comes back out on the field, and that kind of stops a good drive for the Broncos for a moment, but it's good to see Cushman being helped off the field and be able to walk off the field. They brought the stretcher out from that ambulance over on the far side of the field, and thank goodness they did not have to use it. It is 1st and goal here for the Broncos as we do resume action with the player being helped off of the field. Broncos have just a yard to get more points. 2:39 to play in the third quarter. The Mustangs up 56-10 here on the People's Bank scoreboard. Zamora in the gun as we resume action. 3 receivers right, none left. Tight end right side of the formation. Zamora in the gun. He gives it up the middle. Antoine Murphy stood up at the 3-yard line. Going to be a loss of 2 for Hastings. They get backed up, and it'll be 2nd and goal back to the 3.
They're going to have a hard time running the ball in between the tackles down here. I mean, schematically, what Morningside does with their defensive line is they put them in the interior gaps. So the tackles are in the A gaps, and the ends are in B gaps, and the outside linebackers are in C gap. And it's just very difficult to run the ball between the tackles.
Well, I'll try again. 2nd and goal from the 3. This time they throw. Zamora looks left sideline, finds Brett Simonson, tiptoes in the end zone for a Bronco touchdown. Brett Simonson has hauled in 10 catches coming into today, and it is his first receiving touchdown of the season. The Broncos cut the deficit. It's 56-16. Morningside on top on the People's Bank scoreboard. So with a minute 56 to play in the third quarter, the Broncos get 6. And now they'll try a point after here for Jason Bockel as, well, this has been our only score of quarter number 3. The Mustangs have been held in check here in the third quarter. And the Broncos currently winning the third quarter battle. Broncos had some players try and come out onto the field for this point after try. We've got a whistle, and a timeout is called by Hastings here before the point after try. Matt Franzen, the head coach of the Broncos, needs to talk things over. While he does that, of course, we're going to have a break here coming up after the point after. So let's check in with the third member of our crew. Stephen Cutler's down on the sideline, and he's been watching the contest for us. Stephen, what do you have to report for us here now?
Not a whole lot going on down in the sideline within the Morningside football team right now. I can say the breeze has picked up just a little bit, and we've warmed up to about 65 right now. So I don't know how much that's going to affect the game, but that's what's going on.
Well, a little bit warmer, yeah, it could make things tougher for players out there. We'll see how that goes about the rest of the game. Thank you very much, Stephen. We couldn't have asked for a better day for homecoming football. It is just gorgeous. The alumni are back on campus. It's going to be great out at the Taste of Morningside. That's coming up at 5 o'clock or right after the football game, however you want to view it. You're going to want to get on out and enjoy what the Morningside community has to offer food-wise, as Jason Bockel boots through the point after following the Bronco timeout. It's 56-17. Morningside on top of the minute. 56 left in the third. We're back in 30 seconds with more Mustang football here on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS Sioux City. We welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium up in the Irving and Carolyn Jensen press box. Alongside Bob Goodvin, I'm Daniel Versteg. Stephen Cutler down on the sideline. Top-ranked Morningside leads Hastings 56-17 here on the People's Bank scoreboard. Broncos finishing off an 8-play, 55-yard drive. And it took 3 minutes and 12 seconds off of the clock, capped off by a Brett Simonson touchdown reception from 3 yards out. And the Broncos have the only score of this third quarter. Jason Bockel sends a high right-footed end-over-end kick out of the end zone for a touchback. Morningside will start at their own 25-yard line, and Joe Dolenchek is done for the day. But, hey, no bad day for Joe as he throws for 8 touchdowns. Let's see his final stat line. 26 of 36 passing the football, 454 passing yards, and 8 passing touchdowns. Bob, that's a performance we just don't see very often.
No, not in a half, for sure.
Not in a half. Yeah, because he really didn't throw the football a whole lot in the second half. I think he had 436 heading into the locker room. So, yeah, another 20 yards or so on top of that. As Luke Johansson, the true freshman, takes over, the backup quarterback for the Mustangs, throws it left numbers. That one's caught. Lakin Harnley sheds a tackle at the 30, 35, breaking more tackles to the 40. He's shedding defenders across the 45, and he finally gets out of bounds at the 47. A gain of 22 for Lakin Harnley, the junior, and it's 1st and 10.
That's a lot of yards after catch right there. I mean, he broke 3 tackles after the catch.
Lakin Harnley, the junior out of Lincoln, picks up 23 yards, and yeah, I would say probably 18 of those came after the catch or after the first contact for sure. Here's 1st and 10 for Morningside. Luke Johansson, Bellevue West product, the freshman, on 1st and 10 for the 48. Handoff up the middle. It's KJ Williams. He sheds a tackler across midfield into Bronco territory. Sheds another at the 47 and gets forward to the 46. Gain of 6 for KJ Williams, the junior out of Iowa City Liberty, and it's 2nd and 4. And look at down here on the sideline. Luke Johansson heading over to Joe Dolenchek, getting a quick tip from his 5th-year senior counterpart. And that's a cool thing to see. Of course, Joe done for the day. He's just got the helmet resting on top of his head. He doesn't have to have any investment in this ball game anymore, but he's still making sure he's coaching up Luke Johansson, trying to make sure he is playing some solid football here for the Mustangs at the end of quarter number 3. 2nd down and 4. Johansson throws the screen out. Left side, KJ Williams makes the first man miss. Bounces off the second and gets down at the 45-yard line. He's got a yard to set up 3rd and 3. And with 20 seconds left in the third quarter, Mustangs may just take this one into the 4th. It's 56-17. Morningside on top of Hastings here on the People's Bank scoreboard, and the clock will run out here on the third quarter of football action. Morningside on top by 39 here on homecoming. We'll have quarter number 4 for you when we return to Elwood Olson Stadium in Sioux City. You're listening to Mustang Football on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS Sioux City. We welcome you back here to Elwood Olson Stadium in Sioux City. Alongside Bob Goodvin, I'm Daniel Versteg. Stephen Cutler is down on the sideline. Start of quarter number 4. Top-ranked Morningside leads Hastings 56-17. Here on the People's Bank scoreboard, Morningside has 3rd down and 3 as we start the 4th quarter of the contest. Luke Johansson is in there at quarterback. He throws a screen pass right side, caught by Michael Payne across the 40, and he gets down deeper into Bronco territory at the 36-yard line. Gain of 9 sets up 1st and 10. Well, we finally got the AC back here, Bob. Somebody in the other booth I overheard say, "Oh wow, look what the switch does. Man, that feels pretty good." Of course, they were holding us hostage here for the entire 3rd quarter or so. Hey, make sure to thank those guys afterwards. Here's 1st and 10 for Morningside early in quarter number 4. It is Luke Johansson in the gun from the 36. Handoff up the middle. Here's KJ Williams dragging his toe across the 35. There's a flag on the play as Williams picks up 3 to the 33, but that's probably coming back. Again, the Taste of Morningside is coming up after this contest. If you're listening to this game, watching this game, you're in Sioux City, get on out here to Morningside's campus. Taste of Morningside is always so good, whether you're getting some wings or you get some sweets. I think there's probably some pizza there as well. You got to get out here and enjoy what the Morningside community has to offer food-wise, because there is a lot of great options here in Sioux City, especially in the Morningside area. And you can take advantage of it all under 110 here on the campus of Morningside University. 1st down and 20 here for Morningside from the Bronco 46. And if Taste of Morningside doesn't trip your trigger, how about a big volleyball matchup at Rosenford Sports Center starting at 5? Handoff up the middle. KJ Williams gets across the 45 to the 43. He's got 3 yards on the dot, and it'll be 2nd down and 17. We still see some, yeah. Morningside's forced to call a timeout before a delay of game comes their way, so we'll take a timeout as well. Step aside. Back in 30 seconds. More Mustang football coming your way after this on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. We welcome you back here to Elwood Olson Stadium in Sioux City. Alongside Bob Goodvin up in the booth, I'm Daniel Versteg. Stephen Cutler's down on the sideline as top-ranked Morningside leads Hastings 56-17 here on the People's Bank scoreboard. 13:10 left to play in regulation. Timeout call by the Mustangs just to make sure they did not lose another 5 yards in a delay of game. Of course, Morningside delay of game penalty doesn't hurt them in any way, but you still want to give your second unit offense the best chance to be successful, just so you see what they can do. As Johansson takes a deep drop out of the gun, he wants to take a shot over the right numbers. He finds Michael Payne across the 25 to the 22-yard line. That's definitely the longest pass Johansson has completed as a Mustang. It goes for 21, and Morningside has 1st and 10. And the true freshman making that throw well. I don't want to jinx him, but he's still perfect throwing the football in his Mustang career. 6 of 6 for 96 yards. I know. I just wanted to make a note of it. I guess we'll put me in the gallows here soon as Bryson Freeberg gets across the 20 on a carry up to the 13-yard line. He's got 9. Sets up 2nd and 1. Now, okay, I haven't done that before. I can tell you that. I dance around the no-hitter. I do my best to stay clear of that. And it worked. It worked. I got to call a perfect game in softball for Morningside this past spring. Yeah, Grace Buffington. Her first home start as a Mustang against Jamestown. As a true freshman, she throws a perfect game. How awesome. And that's going to be an outstanding arm for the Mustang softball team this year under a new head coach. No Coach Jones Sitzman leading the Mustang softball team. As Bryson Freeberg carries it to the line of scrimmage. No gain. 3rd down and 1 upcoming. Brooke Pruner is the new head coach, Morningside softball, in case you aren't in the loop. Coach Jones Sitzman now taking a full-time administrative role with the Morningside Athletic Department as Assistant Athletic Director to Jim Sykes.
That was a textbook form tackle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He wrapped him up by the legs. He lifted, he drove him into the ground. That's textbook.
Take that clip, put it in a classroom. Here's 3rd down and 1. Johansson gives up the middle. Bryson Freeberg, he's fighting hard in a 39-point ball game. He gets a yard to the 12. Well earned to move the chains for a Mustang 1st down. Yeah, don't tell these guys, Bob, that this is a 39-point blowout and they really don't need to go that hard because they're playing this game still with the intensity of it being 1-2 scores.
That's what I talked about earlier. These kids have just as much right to play as anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't be hand-strapped by the score.
1st and 10 from the 12. Handoff Freeberg up the left seam. He's across the 10 down to the 7-yard line. He's got 5 to bring up 2nd and 5. Bryson Freeberg, who had only touched the football 17 times before today. That was on average 4 rushing attempts a ball game coming into today. He's already in this, stretch alone, 10 carries, 56 yards for Freeberg running the football, averaging 5.6 yards a carry. For the junior out of Neola, Iowa, coming to us from the Tri-Center football program. 2nd down and 5 from the Broncos' 7-yard line. 2 tight ends right. Johansson in the pistol. Handoff up the middle. It's Freeberg getting a hole up to the 5. He's down at the 2. He's got 5 yards. That should move the sticks again, and it'll be 1st and goal. No, he did get a first, I think. Yep, they knocked the chains over. 1st and goal for Morningside from the 2. I want to remind you, you're listening to Mustang Football on KMNS Sioux City, Fox Sports Radio 620, also on the iHeartRadio app and on 620KMNS.com. It's 1st down and goal from the 2. This is a power package, offset I formation with a fullback shielded right. Handoff up the middle. Bryson Freeberg follows his blocks. He lowers his shoulder. He's short of the goal line. He's inside the 1. He got 1.5 yards when he needed 2. It'll be 2nd down and goal. Morningside wants to hustle. And they're going to bring K.J. Williams in. Check out Bryson Freeberg here on 2nd and goal inside the 1. Bryson Freeberg's done a lot of the work, and K.J. Williams is going to get the glory here for a touchdown. Offset I formation. Johansson under center, gives it to Williams straight up the middle. He dives head first and is into the end zone for a Mustang touchdown, and it's the first Mustang touchdown in the career of the Iowa City Liberty product, K.J. Williams. He puts Morningside up 62-17 on the People's Bank scoreboard. And also, K.J. Williams gets his first Mustang touchdown in his varsity football career. He started the year with an injury, didn't get to suit up and play the first couple of ball games, but now he's getting a lot of hugs down there on the sideline for his first touchdown in a Mustang uniform. Even Casey Jacobson, the big teddy bear, gives him a hug down on the sideline. Point after was good by Chase Carter. Hits 63-17. Morningside on top with 8:41 in the game. We're back in 30 seconds with more Mustang football on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS Sioux City. We welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium in Sioux City. Alongside Bob Goodvin, I'm Daniel Versteg. Stephen Cutler down on the sideline, and we'll get a word in here from Stephen after this kickoff. Our score, top-ranked Morningside 63, Hastings 17. Mustangs, those 63 points, the most they've put up in a ball game this season. 59 was their previous best the last time they were home against Briar Cliff. Ben Steffens with a right-footed end-over-end kick. It's fielded by the Broncos at the 5-yard line. Taken out to the left numbers by Jay Sean Wright of the 20, and he goes out of bounds before it would be a touchback at the 22. Doesn't quite get to the 25. That's where the Broncos will start. As Stephen Cutler joins us, third member of our crew down on the sideline. Stephen, what do you have for us?
Well, you guys have been talking a lot about these the second unit getting their playing time, and I believe, and I know I'm not alone in this, that's why Morningside's able to reload so much, is in games like these they get good reps for those second units.
Well, absolutely, Stephen. You're 100% right, and Joe Downcheck would probably tell you that as Hastings starts with a handoff up the middle to Antoine Wright. He stood up at the 25, gain of 2. Look how many times in 2018, Bob, Trent Solzma did his job, Connor Niles did their job. They took a big lead, and we'd see Joe Downcheck come in as a true freshman. He'd be able to lead a drive for a touchdown or what have you, and now we're enjoying the fruits of that for the last 4 seasons.
Well, not only does he get a lot of playing time in that situation, but he gets a lot of playing time with the attitude we're going to run our offense.
Mm-hmm.
And
this pass gets thrown over the middle and batted away, and that was Maycomer on the deflection. It'll be 3rd and 8.
I mean, if he comes in and just hands the ball off every time, I mean that's some experience, but it's not game-like experience.
It's not worthwhile experience.
Yep. And that's what I mean. Don't let the score hold these kids back. I mean, they have a right to play too. And I mean, if these guys are the starters in the future, they've got to be able to play in game-like situations, whether the score is 100-0 or whatever. You're running the same offense.
Now, how can Coach Ryan be confident in Joe Downcheck to put him in the backfield if he doesn't have that game experience under his belt? 3rd down and 8, and a screen pass gets 5 yards up to the 30-yard line. Go to Antoine Murphy, their running back, freshman running back from Texas. No, that is not Antoine Murphy. Let's see who that is. That is going to be John Williams, the senior. It'll be 4th down and 3 for the Broncos. They'll have to punt it away. Michael Payne will go back out there to receive this punt. Our Long Lines post-game report coming up after the conclusion of the contest. We'll have an interview with Coach Steve Ryan. Stephen Cutler will join him and talk about this contest with him on our Long Lines post-game report. We'll break down the action for you and wrap this one up here from Elwood Olson Stadium. Low snap. Jason Bockel has to field it. He's looking to run with it. Now he kicks it up the middle. It's fielded at the 28-yard line. Brody Nelson picks it up on a roll. Look out, left numbers to the 20, 15, 10, 5. Pylon. Touchdown, Morningside. Brody Nelson picks up the dribbling punt on a bad snap, runs it back for a touchdown, and Morningside leads it 69-17 here on the People's Bank scoreboard.
I told you they were going to get one. You could just tell by the snaps every time. The ball bounces back there, or at least they're very, very low, and you knew it was just a matter of time. I don't think that ball ever got more than 6 inches off the ground.
I don't think it did, no. Brody Nelson has his first touchdown as a Mustang as well. Of course, he's a backup linebacker. His older brother, Chase Nelson, part of those first 2 national championship teams in 2018 and 2019. Ben Steffens, the point after try, right-footed boot, sails through the uprights and is good. 70 points put up by the Mustangs. They lead it 70-17 on the People's Bank scoreboard. 7:04 in regulation. We'll be back in 30 seconds with more Mustang football on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS, Sioux City. We welcome you back to Elwood Olson Stadium inside the Irving and Carolyn Jensen press box. Alongside Bob Goodvin, I'm Daniel Versteg. Stephen Cutler on the sideline for Homecoming 2022 as Morningside, #1 in the country, leads Hastings 70-17 here on the People's Bank scoreboard. 7:04 remaining in regulation. The Mustangs will boot it away with Ben Steffens following the punt return touchdown for Brody Nelson. The defensive linebacker gets a touchdown on a bad snap. The Hastings kicker was able to get a rolling punt off, and well, it was right into Brody Nelson's arms as he was able to take it back to the house. Kick goes into the end zone for a touchback for Ben Steffens. Hastings will start from their own 25-yard line. Well, Morningside, of course, now improving to 5-0 overall, 5-0 in Great Plains Athletic Conference action. It's now 62 consecutive regular season wins, 66 wins in conference play, 19 overall wins. The winning streak increasing for the Mustangs as the Broncos bring out their backup quarterback in Brady Abbott. And he throws over to the left sideline. A screen gets a yard to the 26. Completion to Jake Bargan. And it'll be 2nd down and 9.
What is the NAIA record for most consecutive wins during the regular season? I mean, it can't be a whole lot more than that. Can it?
During the regular season? Oh, that's a good question. Because I had the overall win streak. Sioux Falls had that back in the late 2000s. They had about 40 or so consecutive wins, period. Regular season wins would take a little digging. I would have to imagine it's either Sioux Falls or the team that previously had that was a Texas A&M school back in the 70s, mid-70s. But yeah, I'd be intrigued what that regular season wins record is.
Now, I heard last night that Joe Dolenchek has lost one football game in his entire career at Morningside. Is that right?
That's right, because he came in 2018. He was a true freshman in 2018, and the only loss since 2018 has been
to
that semifinal to Northwestern. Yeah. Big hit out of bounds at the 30 as Brady Abbott keeps it. Gain of 3, it'll be 4th and 5. Yeah, Joe's only loss in his college football career came in that semifinal to Northwestern in May of 21. How nuts is that?
That's amazing.
Somebody calculated it's been this past, Monday, I think? It had been 2,200 days since Morningside lost a regular season game, that Whitewater game in 2016. 2,200 plus days. That number just doesn't even seem real. There's a spiraling kick, and Michael Payne will field it after the Broncos go 3 and out on a fair catch at the 33-yard line. Morningside takes over with 5:03 left in regulation, and if they just run the ball a little bit, they can take this time off. But again, Morningside's up 70-17 here on the People's Bank scoreboard. That's 70 points, easily the most the Mustangs have scored in a ball game this season, and it's the most they've scored in a while. I think last year they were probably that Briar Cliff game, 84 is what they put in that ball game against the Chargers. They scored 70 on October 30th against Jamestown here at home last year. Got a new running back out of the contest as the Mustangs pick up a yard up to the 35-yard line. It's Irvin Folletti. We've seen him a couple of times. The freshman here for Morningside picks up a yard to the 35. Sets up 2nd down and 9. Irvin Folletti, the freshman running back, he comes to us from the northernmost town in the United States, just like Sione Tuifua from Barrow, Alaska.
Oh, I thought it was Jamestown, North Dakota.
Nice one. I should have let you make that joke. Dang, I should have let you make that one. But no, Barrow, Alaska, the northernmost town in the United States. And there goes Folletti again. Across the 45 to the 50-yard line. He picks up 15 yards and a 1st down.
I wonder if that town is north of the tree line. Do you know what the tree line is?
I know it's north of the Arctic Circle, but I don't know about the tree line.
There's a line where if you get north of it, there's no trees.
Oh,
and
probably.
Because of climatic situation.
Sure.
But I wonder if it's above the tree line.
I bet you it would be. I've seen some drone footage of that town. It's all dirt. They can't cement it because they can't have cement roads because otherwise it would all just buckle too easily. As we got another new running back into the contest. Morningside's just emptying their bench here at this point. Getting to the 43-yard line on that carry. Oh, and they did me dirty. There's no 41 on my roster. Well, we'll see if we can try and track down who that is. Maybe Randy, our our statistician is having trouble as well. But it is a gain of 7 for the new Mustang running back to set up 2nd and 3. No, I do have it. Well, I have a linebacker that's number 41. That can't be right. And they do mark C.J. Dean as the guy who ran the football, so we'll just call him C.J. Dean for now. And linebacker here for Morningside. He's in at the running back position as well. Still, they give it to Dean up the middle. He stood up at the 44. Loss of a yard. Sets up 3rd and 4.
Only his mother knows.
Only his mother knows. And I apologize to
Mrs. Dean.
Mrs. Dean, if or not Mrs. Dean, if it is not C.J. Dean. But now he hustles off of the field and get another running back in there. I think it's Folletti once again. Yeah, it's really cool, the story of Barrow, Alaska, of course, being the northernmost, town in the United States. There's a lot of things that we take for granted down here that, they don't, obviously. A lot of their food up there they can't import because it takes an arm and a leg to get food up there. There's no road up to Barrow. It's totally disconnected from the rest of the state road-wise. So the only way into Barrow is to either fly or, if it's not too icy in the ocean, you can boat up there. But that's the only way up to Barrow, Alaska, unless you're going to walk that long distance. But so that leads to, I think I've seen like frozen pizzas up there, for example. They're like $15-20 a pizza.
I would bet
it's
that
crazy.
Any consumer good is unbelievably expensive. Is it a mining town or an oil town or something of that nature?
They hunt a lot of whales up there. It's all a Native American tribe. It's an Alaskan Native American tribe up there, and that's they all kind of pitch in together and when a whale is hunted or whatever they make sure the entire town gets a part of it, and it's really a cool community. The NFL Network did a piece on them and their high school football program a number of years ago. Chris Battle is the head coach of that Barrow, Alaska football program, and how he's turned them actually into a really a pretty solid football program up in Alaska. Their football field overlooks the Arctic Ocean. And talk about a home field advantage, by the way. I mean,
think of your travel expenses. If
That's the only.
If you're going to fly to a high school football game and do it 3, 4, 5 times, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what their travel schedule is like or what the costs associated with it are like, but I just got to think that home field advantage with Arctic Ocean wind from that blowing in and the crazy weather up there. And if you're used to that, boy, you got one heck of an advantage. But it's cool. We've been able to get now 2 Morningside football programs from up in Barrow, Alaska. Of course, Sione Tuifua, the tight end for the Mustangs, and he was also just nominated to the All-State Good Works team. He was one of 22 players in the country, all levels, Division I down to the NAIA Division III. As pass for Johansson's incomplete. I did jinx him. Well, it's his first incompletion as a Mustang. And so they'll turn it over on downs. Hastings will take over at the 42. I'm sorry, Luke. I'll take the blame for that one. But Sione gets into the Good Works team, and he becomes the 6th Mustang in the history of the football program to do it. First since Jake Kotzer did it in 2019. Trent Solzma was on that team in 2018. And it's really a cool thing that, this Morningside football program is recognized for its excellence on the field, but they do so many things off the field as well that help them stand out from the rest.
No, that's a great honor. I mean, that's as good an honor as there is in NAIA football, as far as I'm concerned.
In any level of football, they take all kinds of levels for that team, and he's one of just 22 in the entire country to be honored with that. And again, it's the 6th time a Mustang has earned that honor. So, congratulations to Sione Tuifua for that. That was announced a couple of weeks ago. I think it was announced during the bye week, and so we didn't get an opportunity really to talk about it a whole lot throughout a broadcast or with Coach Ryan for that matter. But it is a well-deserved honor. And I know he said after Trent Solzma got the honor in 2018, he had players mention or earn that honor before. He said something to a media crew. He said he hopes his team sees Trent win that award, and he hopes he's got 90 other guys who want that award just like him. And well, he's gotten 2 more since Trent has won that award. But Clock ticking down here at Elwood Olson Stadium. Going to have one final play here before regulation comes to an end. But Morningside is going to walk away with their 5th win of the regular season as Hastings has 3rd and 8 from the 44. Handoff up the middle. Antoine Murphy is stood up at the 45. Maybe the 46. Gain of 2, and that'll be your ball game here from Elwood Olson Stadium. Final score, top-ranked Morningside 70. Hastings 17. The Mustangs improving to 5-0 overall, 5-0 in the G-Pack. And the Broncos take just their 2nd loss of the season. They are 5-2 overall and 4-2 in Great Plains Athletic Conference action. Coming up will be our Long Lines post-game report. We'll get you stats and scores from around the Great Plains Athletic Conference. We'll also have a chat with head coach Steve Ryan. Stephen Cutler will have that for us coming up on our Long Lines post-game report. We're back in 4 minutes with more Mustang football on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS Sioux City.